Gather round, we got no gods to please. Saturday night, no sermons, just ease. Discussions flow like midnight breeze. No prophets here, just minds to tease. We talk big bangs and evolution. Question faith with our solution. Stars align in our confusion. Breaking free from old illusion. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Fun and laugh at myth believers. Here we're all truth seekers. Open hearts and swift deceivers. Make a stand, no hidden levers. Raise your glass to reason's thrill. No ancient text, it's our own will. Debate till dawn, feel dull and chill. Saturday night, we've got the skill. Echoes of a godless choir. Like the world was fought the fire. Free thought mindset to inspire. No holy walls to take us higher. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Fun and laugh at myth believers. Here we're all truth seekers.
Hello, truth seekers. Welcome to the Captive Desk, Saturday Night at the Atheists. And I am joined with Saturday Night at the Atheists, Mike and Scott. I am joined with Saturday Night. I got to echo there, guys.
How about me? Or how about now?
Much better.
Yeah, what happened? How did you possibly hear that? Huh. Well, oh my goodness. Maybe something started working again and it shouldn't have.
Ah, see,
Yeah,
the spooky season's over, so the demons were released.
it's over. Right.
I want to find out what Spooky Bad Hair did this season, this Halloween. It seems like that's his
No,
face in the hole there.
no.
No.
Spooky say you don't even like Halloween.
Oh man,
Really?
he just likes Spooky Bad Hair, huh?
Yep.
Well, I said it's understandable if you're spooky all year long. You're probably burned out by Halloween from being
Yeah, it's more
spooky.
like a vacation from being spooky.
Everybody deserves a day off, right?
At least one.
So we got revisit here to Mr. Peace this evening. Mr. Peace seems to enjoy some back and forth. He's been making content from the comments section. So, okay, well, we're going to engage back. We talked about Mr. Peace a couple shows ago. And Mike,
Scott, you.
I hit it. Mike and I and some others, we dropped a few comments over there, and Mike made a friend. They kind of had a little thing back and forth, and he put out a video responding to Mike. So I switched up the queue a little bit. We're gonna do the main event, which is the title of the stream. But
It's
figured we'd look at this one real quick because he engaged back with Mike, and you know, we like a little engagement. Appreciate anybody that wants to engage. So we'll take a look at that, and we'll see what Mike has to say about it.
Yeah, we should get through it kind of fast. Try to play a bit of it, and maybe even play it at 2 times, even though I hate that.
I can't really do that, but we can.
Oh, okay.
I've got the one part, and then I cut it, and I kind of ask, do you want to keep going with the rest? So
okay,
that's the main bulk part. So I cut that out.
Yep.
We'll pull it up here.
I wanted to title this video The Only Atheist I Cared About, and that's a guy by the name of Answers in Atheism. So the first reason...
I almost fell out of my chair. Huh? I almost fell out of my chair when I heard that.
All right, we're going to see what he has to say to Mike here.
I care about this guy is he's got his own channel. So he's got a channel where he explains his worldview, that he's an atheist, and the reason why he is, he studies molecular biology, and he's got a lot of head knowledge, and he studies all this other stuff in philosophy and all that. Pardon me, I'm sorry I'm drinking coffee, because I shouldn't do that. It's rude, I know. Please forgive me. And I'm sorry I'm a little slovenly today. I didn't shave, so here we go. He says, I watched your video. No, sorry, that was my response to him. He started out being a little smarmy, but then he said, what makes you think I'm this, or what makes you think I'm that? And I told him, I watched your video, and you have a satanic thumbnail on it. He's got a picture of, like, the, what do you call that guy? The Grim Reaper? And then beside him is, like, it looks like a lamp. It's an illuminated structure in the form of a hand, a skeleton hand that looks like this. You get the idea, right?
Yeah, so I let him know that that was my picture, and the reason for the picture has some meaning behind it. I was he said something about an atheist not understanding death, or some kind of comment like that, and I said, sir, I'm all too aware of my place in the queue. I lost my mother and my father and my younger brother, my only sibling, in a matter of a few years. And this picture, this is what's sitting right here in front of me. It's sitting on my computer here. And this is my Grim Reaper with my hand gesture there. And it's
without the the scythe in its hand, it's really just another dude in a robe.
Right. Yeah, I could just be sitting there. It could be Bigfoot just sitting there chilling.
It could be Bigfoot. Right? It could be a nighttime vigilante going out fighting crime.
Well, I do see it as the Grim Reaper, and it is an FU to the Grim Reaper, because I am all too aware of my mortality. I wasn't there when my father passed, but I was at my mother's bedside when she took her last breath. And with my brother, I had to make a decision to take him off life support. One of the most difficult decisions I ever had to make in my life. And it still weighs heavy on me.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one left on my little tiny branch of the family tree. I do have my sons, but the branch is not very big, right? So I just was addressing it, and Mike liked the picture, and he said, "Could I borrow that for a video?" And I was like, "Sure, you're welcome to it." So
because it made sense for me too. I just found out that I have more hardening of the arteries than I thought, and I also had a heart arrhythmia, and I was scared to death of dying, and I did a little video called Stumbling Gracefully, where I expressed my feelings about that, and that's what he was looking at. So I took a screenshot of your screenshot here. So,
well, we atheists, we understand death and we deal with it. I think in a lot of ways as believers. I don't want to make light of anything, but believers believe they're going to heaven and going to have a great time, but yet they seem to grieve just as much at a funeral as anybody else. So it seems there is a shared loss emotion between us. I don't think anybody owns it or anything like that.
And in his video yesterday, he did retract that bit about Satan, and he said,
Yep.
"Yeah, I realized it wasn't satanic." So
I do have that part. I do have that part if we get to it. I did want to acknowledge that he did see my comment. I did explain the picture to him. So I guess he read my comment, and fair enough. That's why I explained it, right? So there we go. We cleared it up. Not a problem, right? Okay.
And it's flipping the bird. But I watched one of his videos, and he said that he's coming to terms with his own mortality. So in other words, and the video is 6 months old, so I don't know how much closer he is to the end, right? Now,
how many days is it for 6 months, Mike? Or wait, no, you do. What do you guys do? Hours or minutes? My mistake.
Days.
How many days? Okay.
Yeah. How many days do I have left? I don't know. I found out that I think if I get in basically in 4 or 5 years, I'd probably have a lot of days left. So anyway, yeah, my mortality turned out to be not as big a concern as I thought. And I responded to the arrhythmia medication, and all my shit went away for now. So if I'm not an idiot, I'll probably live till I'm 90 or 100.
And yeah, the point is Scott was pointing out what the Grim Reaper is, and that it's not a satanic symbol. It's not an atheist symbol, and it has nothing to do with either of why I have that little display there on my desk.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with the meaning, so I thought I would clear it up. And then not worshiping it or anything like that. It just sits there as a reminder.
Every Sunday for the last several months, I guess you could say, I visit a long-term care facility where a dearly loved one of mine that I care about is in care. And part of me is very thankful that I live in a socialist country, because you have these social safety nets that take care of the aging population, and more people are aging. And some people have said, well, it's terrible, euthanasia and this medically assisted dying program, it's not moral or something like that. I'm very thankful for that, because if I reach a stage where I can't wipe my own ass, I pretty much want to check out.
Now, this is interesting because a lot of the Christians seem to be against this idea. Right. What did you think of that, Mike?
Yeah, that was a surprise. And he's got a few other surprises, as I've listened to his videos, where he's not quite the crazy Christian that I was afraid he was. So
anyway, getting back to this gentleman from his channel, is called Answers in Atheism. He's talking about, if he starts to experience cognitive decline, he's going to want to check out. And most of these people in this long-term care where I visit are in cognitive incapacitation, but they still have that desire to cling to life. It must be something primordial, in the mind. There's this desire to continue living. And so I know a lot of people just make the choice, if they have a terminal situation, that they choose to depart with dignity. And I think that's very, very important, to have dignity when you're ready to go. And so I was very touched by his video talking about, all the head knowledge he has. And, that's something that we're told, to number our days. David said, O Lord, teach us to number our days. Why? So that we may present to you a heart of wisdom. And this is what I haven't seen in any atheists. They don't recognize their own mortality. In fact,
There,
excuse me.
and there,
Wait a
That's
there
minute.
it
bullshit.
was.
That's totally bullshit. How do I count the days? With an app.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, Patrick, if you're listening, Scott, Johnny, and I actually count our days every single day. And I'm 26,964 days old. And I've been doing it since I was 24,400 days old. I wish I'd done it all my life, but I've been doing it for what, 3,000 days now, something like that. I do count the days. It was interesting that he said that, count the days. In fact, we had a little podcast called Count the Days, right?
And as I already explained, I face mortality head on, and I'm all too aware that I'm the one left out of my family of four: my mother, my father, and my brother and I. That's it, right? Those three are gone.
That raises,
There's no denying who's next. I'm not saying I'm next in front of anybody else, but as far as that goes, I can't talk to my mother or my father or my brother because they're gone. So, it's very sobering. I don't know how else to say it.
Christians who used to be, or atheists who used to be believers, I'm sure all of you guys have had a hell of a deal with facing your own mortality, because all of a sudden you realize, you're mortal as an adult. Whereas I realized that when I was 6 years old, so I kind of had a head start because I'd never been a Christian. But people that used to be Christian must have a hell of a time with giving up the whole afterlife thing. I don't know, Scott, does that?
I had to face my father's death when I was young, and a couple of grandparents, and never lost a sibling, which is great. Of course, in the last 5 or 10 years, even as an atheist, I've lost all of my mother's side of the family, aunts and things like that, and so it kind of all came at once. So I've had to, both as a Christian and an unbeliever, an atheist, had to process mortality and death. And of course, I've got health conditions which make me think about my mortality, and I don't whine and cry or despair anymore or any less than anybody else. There's times where I'm squared away with it and mentally and everything, and there's other times where, man, I feel anxious about my mortality. And I think everybody goes through that, up and down, up and down. Christians have a teddy bear called Jesus to cling to, which is fine if that's what works for them. But, I have things that I do to process my mortality when that time comes. And so to think that you have, and your religion has the market on facing death without fear or without, with dignity, I just don't see that being borne up in reality. Maybe there's a study that says Christians just kind of walk through death and, Jesus walking on water, and it's great. And, and they go through that veil of mortality that, they spring off that mortal coil very elegantly. But I don't think that's the case. I think if you look among Buddhists and even Muslims, atheists, people of a not so traditional faith, faith aspect, I think it's probably about the same. Some people are ready. Some people have developed personally and can face it. Others not so much. So I don't see where being a Christian in and of itself gives you an advantage in facing your mortality.
Patrick makes a good point about people in cognitive decline. Like when you're in cognitive, like that's what part of what I made that video about is that, you know, what I really enjoy doing every day is getting up and not being in cognitive decline, right? But then if I start to lose my mind, I'm not going to know about that stuff anymore, and I'm probably going to want to go on living anyway. So he does make a good point that when people start to shut down, that they're just as alive as any of us. So anyway,
There's a protective mechanism in the subconscious that allows us to push it off, to push it to the side and not face it. Because, you know, you get young people on here, they're gamers or they're, you know, who knows, in their 20s or something, and they're like, oh, you're a circular argument. You're not proving anything. I'm an atheist and I'm better than you. A bunch of crybabies, right? But they have no concept of number.
Stop. Stop. Patrick, sir, out there. Yeah. What are you talking about?
yeah.
Well, apparently there's some
I
of the
don't think you
comments
talk
are.
to that many atheists. All these Christians love to tell these stories about these wonderful discussions they've had with atheists. I don't believe he has, or I don't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem credible to me.
I think some of his comments were a little short with him, and
Yeah, I think maybe he's stinging from his comments.
yeah,
So,
it bothers him a little bit. Hey, my advice to you is the advice that I get from others on YouTube. If somebody comments, good or bad, just say thanks for watching. Okay.
yep.
Take the algorithm traffic. Okay, and let it go. There you go.
Yeah.
Numbering their days. By numbering their days, I mean recognizing how short life is. And David said, so that he may present to God a heart of wisdom. So when we finish our journey on this life, we can return to God and say, I learned a lot. You know, God, you know, I learned through this experience. And this is what I'm going to want to touch on a little bit in the next video about the whole before and after kind of thing. So there's that. And I prayed for this guy with tears yesterday. I was in prayer and I was crying.
Did you feel anything, Mike?
Yeah, I did. that was touching.
I'm just curious. You know, if you know, if you had an just out of the blue, you had an overwhelming sense of Patrick praying for you or something.
Well, I have. I mean, it was, you know, I can feel what he's saying, right? Because the video he's talking about for me was a emotional video. I've done 2 emotional videos on my channel, and one was about my daughter, and then that one, and for him to, you know, feel that he has to pray for me, I was touched, to tell you the truth. So anyway, I usually get pissed off when people say they're going to pray for me.
Well, we'll call that one a hit then.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Prayer on behalf of this gentleman. And I wrote what I thought Jesus might say to him. You know, imagine Jesus saying to him, I'm waiting for you, my child. I've always loved you. This is what I thought. It's not like any kind of vision or anything like that. I'm just thinking, I wonder what Jesus might say to him. And I tried to just simply imagine what he might say to him. And I thought Jesus might say, take my hand and come with me into paradise. A paradise I have prepared for you. I, Jesus, will preserve your dignity. This is a concern when people get old. They want to maintain their dignity, right? It's difficult. In a long-term care facility, your dignity has gone out the window, right? You got tubes coming out of you. You got something going up your dick so you can pee, and you freaking can't take care of yourself. You can't eat properly anymore, and you know, you just can't take care of yourself anymore. It's sad, sad, sad. It's very sad, man. And God knows that, right? Of course he knows that, right?
Well, see, now there's the problem. We're agreeing other than why didn't they just shut down, right? I mean, if the God is controlling everything, if somebody is at that point where everything's shutting down, but you know, the brain or the heart or whatever just doesn't know to shut down along with everything else, right? And folks, you know, that sadly do linger like this, why?
Yeah.
You know, if the body's shut down, they can't, like you described, you need tubes to do everything for you. You don't have your cognition anymore, so your brain's not doing anything really either, right? Why? What is the delay, right? Why doesn't it all just shut down, right? That would.
Yeah, we could die better when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's an interesting thing here. Like when he said basically welcome to eternity or something like that, he doesn't think an atheist has that feeling that, you know, that there's this welcome to eternity feeling, right? But actually I do because I figured out that, okay, the moment I die, I'm not going to know I'm dead. And it's going to be like 1 minute after I go completely unconscious, my last conscious thought, right? 1 minute after. Now, that is going to be the exact same minute for me as 1 trillion years after I die. So 1 billion years, 1 million years, 300 years, 1 minute, 10 minutes, it doesn't make any difference. So in a way, I view my death as being launched into eternity because it is not. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Am I explaining that well enough? Because it's a really cool thought.
I think it's really neat to think that, you know, we're made of about 7 pounds of chemicals and elements and whatnot, right? And we're borrowing them, right? They were something else, and we're borrowing them. And when we're done, it seems selfish to hold on to them because the other things need them, right?
Right.
So yeah, we're going to be a plant or a bug or a part of the atmosphere, etc., as the scattering occurs, right? So it seems to be the way of things. You look at the universe. Stars come and stars go, right? Black holes cleaning up the area, right? So it seems selfish in a way to think that just because you have a certain belief, you get to hang on to everything, right? In some way, even if it's in some spirit sense, everything that's you and that makes you, you get to keep forever, and that just doesn't seem the way of things. It doesn't, not for me at least.
Unfortunately, in this Judeo-Christian Western mindset that we live in, they pump your body full of chemicals, and then they stick you in a steel box, and then they stick you in a concrete vault, and then they bury you 6 feet under. So it's going to be a fucking million years before a tree actually gets to you, right? Mm-hmm. Which I don't like. But now they have these new green burials in some states where your relatives go out and pick a tree and they plant you under it and you actually become part of that tree. Now that's cool. But I mean, and I think that came from the whole Christian mindset. You like the religious mindset, you got to preserve the body after you die because the soul will get, you know, confused. I don't know why they do it, but it's really
my son said that one day. He said, I think I want to be a tree when I die. He was reading about that, a tree burial. It's like, yeah, that's a neat idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping I think they just recently lightened that up in Minnesota, but I don't think we have a lot of it yet. But I'm hoping to be a weeping willow because I like those guys.
You can also, I guess, send your body out to be part of a body farm for forensic studies.
No,
you can do all sorts of things.
Nope.
Well, see, that's just a psychological thing because you won't know anything about it. So,
well, it's not rotting. It's those creepy FBI people crawling around looking at your body that bothers me.
Well, didn't Hitchens donate his body to science?
He might have, yeah. I don't know.
I think he did. So, if you want to do that kind of thing, that's up to you, and I'm sure.
I'm way too shy for that.
Some medical student somewhere would appreciate the donation. Yeah.
Nope.
Personal decision, but
Yep.
yeah, there are a lot of options. Of course, you know, cremation's becoming popular these days. We did cremate my brother, not my mother though. She wanted to be buried good old in the casket in the tomb, and the priest there doing the prayers. So
Yeah.
she got what she wanted, and my brother said he didn't want that, so he got cremated. There you go.
So Jester, Lord of Shenanigans, yes, you can be a tree. In some states, they have this new green burial. Yeah. You pick a spot in the woods somewhere, and I think they have like parks set aside for it or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it has to be in a special area. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called green burial. So it's something to look into.
He says, I, Jesus, will present. You don't have to admit to the world that you need a redeemer, but you have to admit it to me. I'm your savior. Come to me and I will give you rest. Well, that makes sense because Jesus did say that. Come unto me, all you that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest, right? And then he did actually make another reply that I just saw this morning. He says, hopefully you won't chicken out here and block me. I certainly wouldn't block this gentleman. I highly doubt it. He says,
see, there you go.
Did he block you?
I don't think so.
Okay, your comments were in a different video. I was looking in the wrong video for him.
I don't think I got a reply or anything, but he apparently read my comment. So.
Yep.
So this is the audience. I mean, he's reciting a lot of scriptures and things. Is he thinking that all these scriptures will sound so good to the atheists that they will convert? I don't find a lot of utility in quoting scriptures at people who think that God does not exist, that Jesus was possibly a man, but who existed, but not a divine being of any sort.
I think he just likes to engage in the argument, it seems.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that thing about needing a redeemer when you die, unfortunately, and you remember that Stinky Saint guy? He got really angry when he asked me if basically the H guy in Germany, I don't want to say the name on your channel, if he was in eternity, right, according to Zen Buddhism, and yes, everybody that dies is automatically completely redeemed, reclaimed, and you become part of the universe the same way as everybody else. And the Christians don't like that because there's no justice, right? We don't want people to just suffer while they're alive if they do something wrong. We want them to suffer for eternity. It's like we don't want anybody to get out of the, life free card, right? We want them to actually wake up somewhere conscious and still have to pay for their crimes. And it's too bad, but that doesn't happen. Everybody is redeemed. No matter how evil and horseshit you are, when you die, you're released. You are redeemed. So, according to atheists.
Dang atheists. The cockroaches. Oh, by the way, there's a cockroach theme. Patrick likes to call atheists cockroaches because we scurry from the light, apparently. So if you notice, there's a bunch of cockroaches all over the place. That's why we got cockroaches everywhere.
So I have to protest that. I remained in that light for well over 30 years.
Yes, you did.
I deconstructed, and I'm no longer. The light is imaginary. I mean, yeah, it's something that you think is real, and more power to you if you want to go down that path and engage in that religion, with that religion. But just so you don't try to force anybody else to do it or make laws that are biased towards your belief. I mean, I spent 30 years in that light. I mean, it's not like I scurried away from it. I came to a better understanding of reality.
And you were in it far more than most of us are. That conversation we had,
Yeah,
and
I was in it.
you don't want to talk about it, but you were in it like more than most Christians are. So anyway,
what's so pure about watching your body decay from the inside out in real time? That was a nasty comment I made about watching him, because he's in his video, he's looking at his hand, and you're getting friggin' his whatever, right? Your body, even me, I see it in my body. It repairs itself a lot slower than when you were in your 20s or 30s, right? He says, now that is not how I think about living and growing old and dying. I see it more as life itself, certainly not rotting. Now I understand you have this wishful idea of absolute perfection. What age would that be for you? It's kind of a strange question, considering what I just wrote to him. I don't know if he actually saw the reply that I did earlier, trying to encourage him that God loves him, that Jesus loves him, that Jesus is waiting to take him to paradise. But he asked me this question: what age would that be for you? I don't have any kind of wishful idea of absolute perfection. We're told that when we leave this earth, we're told that corruption cannot inherit incorruption. So in this form, we are in a corrupt form, according to one of the apostles, right? And he probably learned it from Jesus. And so corruption will be swallowed up in incorruption. We'll have new bodies. And it says we will know ourselves as we have been known, and then we will be able to see God face to face. We'll be able to see the Lord face to face. And so this is what we're told about when we leave the earth. And again, I'd like to...
Okay, what I was getting at is I think most of them think they're suddenly going to become 22 years old again. Because they've got this idea that they're going to have a body of some sort, right? Because if you were in like the afterlife and you didn't have a body, that would be the freakiest acid trip you've ever had. I mean, it would be like really weird and very, very disconcerting.
And getting a clear answer from different believers and apologists and between faiths and everything, you're going to get a really mixed bag of answers of what actually you're gonna be, or what you become, or what parts stay with you and not, because like he says, all the bad things can't go with you to heaven, right?
So anything on my nose,
so a big part of you doesn't actually get to go to heaven. So it's not actually you, as we've talked about before, everything that makes you, right?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, I just got done writing about exactly that in a blog that's for tomorrow. And I want to say hi to Michael N. here with us today.
And hello, James.
Hello,
Welcome.
guys. How are you today?
Good.
James, it's good to see you.
To have you.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Michael N. in the house with us, along with what?
Hey, Michael. And Beck, yeah. Jester.
And,
always good to see Jester. Chris is here. Hello, everybody. Jin's here. We had Toast stop by asking, what is this? If you're still listening, maybe you know what this is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he said that most atheists don't think about their mortality, and then he admitted that he hasn't really thought about what age he's going to be when he goes into the great beyond. He hasn't thought about it either.
Yeah, I just wish we had numbers on people, the rate at which people do consider their mortality at different stages in their life, because there's periods where you're so busy, or you're meeting some milestone in your development, you don't think about it, because that's not the time and place for people to think about their mortality. And then there's times where you might think about it, like, maybe there's a tornado coming your way and you're huddled in the bathroom, and you think about all the things that you haven't done, all the people that you haven't said that thing to that you need to say. Life is just replete with opportunities to do that. Everybody goes through it. So I don't know what he means. I don't know what kind of background information he has on the state of reality. And that's kind of my gripe with all of these preachy YouTube religious people, is that they don't seem to do any real research, or don't often really seem to be aware of what it's like for people that are different from them.
Right. Like when I went up north last time, I drove by the exact sewer grate and curb. I sat on a curb when I was 6 years old for over an hour because I had just figured out that I was going to die. And I had this like long talk with myself. And so that was me at 6 years old. And then at about 15 or 16, when I got into Buddhism, it's a long story, but there's a guy named Castaneda who was a fraud, but he wrote a lot of good things. And he was talking about this spirit guy from South America who said that you should live with death sitting next to you. And his point was that you should always be in clear possession of your own mortality. And I have been all my life as a drug addict and an alcoholic. I have seen my friends die, click, 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 and been close to it myself many times. So he is just totally wrong about atheists not thinking about mortality. I think about it constantly. I'm always aware of it. So,
and also it's possible, although you wouldn't think you would think it wouldn't be, to work in an industry that does see death a lot, but not deal with your own mortality. You know, like your way of coping with it is to kind of shut it out and push it to the side.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if he's got
Talk a little bit about that in a different video. But anyway, that was what I.
He said something about coming back to it, so you might get some more in another video.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention today that if I responded to your comment snarkily, I apologize. Unless you deserved it, then I don't apologize because I don't care, right? You got to admire Ricky Gervais when he says he doesn't care, right? Remember he did the speech? He's an atheist, by the way, but he's a funny atheist. And he says, I don't care. I don't care. He cracks me up, that guy. Anyway, I care when I see that somebody is sincere. And it's very difficult to find a sincere atheist because they are so egocentric. I mean, pot calling the kettle black, look at me, right? But they're so self-centered that their view is correct.
Oops.
Well, so how often or how long do I have to hold this idea that I could be incorrect about my views on Christianity when I was in it, past the top of my head, for decades. So for him to be assuming that all atheists are just assuming they're correct and they're never thinking they might be wrong, or they never gave Christianity a chance, whatever his viewpoint is, it's just not based on reality.
Yeah, Patrick, the problem we have with you is your strawmanning of atheists and lumping us together. And you did mention in a video where you were talking about Dawkins. I mean, the idea that we're all Dawkins atheists. Hang on a second.
Right, we've got the Kentucky atheist in here. This is my view that I'm not convinced a God exists. It is correct because I'm not convinced. That's the only claim they're making.
Right. He hates that. Christians that drives them crazy. Atheism is real simple. We just don't have something that we don't believe in something that you believe in. It's that damn simple. I mean, it's not a worldview. It's just, just lack a belief. I like lack-theists the most.
Yeah, most atheists are lack-theists. Some are hard atheists.
Well, I'm a hard atheist too, but that's only when I think about it, right? I mean, in a normal day-to-day, I just never think about God or Jesus.
Yeah. I only do when I feel like I need somebody to watch.
YouTube, right? Yeah, when I'm on YouTube, that's when I think about it. Yeah. I've been working on the tag argument for transcendental argument for God for the last month. And so I'm in it every morning, but that's just because it's interesting to me. Transcendental arguments are interesting.
Yep.
Remind me, which argument is that?
That's basically it's sort of an undercutting argument. Like I'll give you an example. I came up with this idea like 10, 15 years ago. When a person argues with you about solipsism, they're saying, how do you know you're not a solipsist, that it isn't all in your mind? As soon as they start talking to you, they have defeated their own argument. So it's basically an undercutting argument that you say, okay, what if solipsism was true, you wouldn't have any ability to talk to another person. If everything was all in your mind, there wouldn't even be any such thing as in your mind, right? Because if there are objects in the world outside of you, you can visualize inside of your mind and outside of your mind. But if you can't even believe in that, then you need to shut your mouth. So basically, they have this idea that naturalism can't account for morality, for logic, for the consistency of physics, regularity. We can't account for that. They have this in their head, so they come up with this argument that we can't even begin to argue with them. We're just wrong right out of the gate, and they're right. I'm right, you're wrong. But anyway, transcendental arguments are useful in philosophy, but the way they apply it, kind of stinky. They've taken the idea from Immanuel Kant, and they have really not done it justice at all.
Gary Olson.
Whoop.
Mike's taking a call.
Oh, all right. I wasn't sure. All right, so we got Top Dog in here with us today.
Yeah, hey, Top Dog. Good to see you. Joe's in here. Good to see you, Joe.
So, strictly speaking, I do not take the position that no gods exist. I take the position that some gods exist. I just don't have one. I don't have any.
What I miss? Did that explain it, James? That basically the transcendental argument, it's not deductive, it's not inductive, it's not abductive. It goes outside of everything and tries to get meta on you, basically. So it's going meta.
So what's the difference between the tag argument and presuppositionalism?
I think they're one and the same.
Yeah, because I'm not detecting any difference.
Yeah, they presuppose Christianity in order to have reason at all.
So, right, God is a relationship paradigm, right? If somebody worships the sun in the sky, it is a God to them. The sun exists, at least I recognize it as something that exists. And I don't have that relationship to the sun. I don't worship it. I don't, my narrative of identity and value in the world does not revolve around my relationship to the sun. Right, I don't subject myself to the sun as a bootlicker or a sycophant. Right, is none of that crap. I don't build any altars to the sun. All the different things that people do to express that kind of a relationship to something, I don't have. Now, if somebody were, here's where it matters. If somebody were to convince me of the necessity of a prime mover, an intelligent, pre-existing prime mover. Now, they might suppose, I've now convinced James that he has a God, but they'd be wrong, even if I accepted the idea and committed to the idea that there is an eternally existing, super intelligent, universe-creating being that by necessity must exist. That is not the same as convincing me that I have a God, right? Because it's not a God until I accept it as a God. Right? Until then, it's just a descripted being. It's not a God to me. And so this is the important clarifier that I always want to make in that kind of a discussion, that these are separate domains that people conflate when they have the discussions. And I feel like that makes the discussion sloppy and unproductive. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome.
So any final words on your interaction there, Mike?
No.
Okay,
No.
yeah,
Yeah, well, it was he became more pleasant, and I had more respect for him when he settled down a little bit and actually started treating me like a human being. I wanted to mention there's this no nonsense spirituality, and a lot of Christians really hate it when you use the word God or spirituality or whatever, because it seems like religion, right? It seems like Christianity owns it. But there is this woman, and her name is, oh my goodness, what is her name? Her name is about me. Come on, give me your name. Britt. And she won't tell me her last name. My goodness. Come on, Britt. Anyway, it's called No Nonsense Spirituality. And her point is we need to take the words God and spirituality and all of that's and eternity and all of that stuff back. That we need to make them secular. We need to rehash them with naturalism. And anyway, that's where I come from. So for me, I have a TAN argument, the transcendental argument for naturalism, that it is impossible for any of this. We cannot begin to reason at all. We cannot talk or think or do anything unless we have space, time, and quantum fields. Without that basis, nothing makes sense. And Breakfast Tacos did kind of a big, he was doing sort of a facetious video imitation of Pre-Suppers. He's got a really great video on that everybody should watch. And he basically comes up with the same point, that you can't even start to argue with me if you're going to deny independent objects in the world around you, that we are objects ourselves in the world, that we talk to each other and whatever. You can't even begin to argue about anything. You cannot begin to understand the Bible until you are first in a space-time continuum. Because without that, where's the Bible? How are you going to read the Bible? It's just not. You see what I mean? So that is a transcendental argument for naturalism. And they're going to hate that one. You can't account for morality. Like, fuck you. Whoops. Sorry, Dave.
You're right. I try not to cuss, but I don't make the rule for anybody or anything.
Okay. It's such a part of my culture. I'm sorry.
Oh, I do it too. It's just I try not to do it when I'm on my channel. That's all.
Yeah.
Just one of my things is all. So
I try very hard, but you know me. My tongue is like my brain is loose and my tongue is like a trampoline. Shit falls out of my head, it lands on my tongue and it bounces out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the little back and forth there. So I inserted that little part there, and Mike said no point watching the rest. He just pretty much the same through the rest of the video there. But he did interact back with Mike, and so we're interacting back, and so now we're gonna get into the video that originally was going to be the main event here. But we had to give Mike honorable mention for actually engaging with Mr. Peace there, and Mr. Peace engaging back, and kind of we'll call it a civil exchange, and good for both of you there. It was good to see. So now we're going to get to the main event, and this, of course, is the title, The Best Answer to Give to Atheists. Good luck with your atheism. All right. So here we go.
I thought I would put together a short video for you, mostly in response to this gentleman by the name of LGPI314. Pi 314, very clever. He knows the first 3 digits of pi. And LG, probably his initials or something else, whatever.
I don't know who this person is. If you're out there, let us know who you are that was engaging with him. I'd like to know who you are.
And so, just like most, I've had hundreds of comments over the past year or two or past months from atheists, and 99% of them are anonymous. This is something you'll find about atheists.
What he means by anonymous is they don't have a channel. That's what he means by anonymous. So if you don't have anything on your channel, you're anonymous.
Well, that's
if you don't put your name out there.
Apparently,
James?
yeah.
I mean, all right. So what's the name of his channel?
Patrick Peace.
All righty. So I'm guessing that's his real name.
I
No
don't
idea.
know real name. I
So
doubt it's a real name.
I mean, I use my real name, and I got to tell you, I regret it because
Really?
moving forward, I mean, think of all the people that might decide to look me up that I want to buy from, sell to, trade with, do business with. They work for me, I work for them, I live with them, they live with me. Like if I want to work in a upscale dude ranch or something like that, or horse ranch, like I've always wanted to, which I technically used to. Those people tend to lean they're rural, and so they tend to be conservative and religious. And imagine them looking me up and saying, "Oh, you're one of those guys? Nah, we don't have a spot for you here," right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm already there,
Well,
and then they look me up.
And most people on YouTube don't have content, or they have just some a couple of videos. Like my YouTube channel that was originally that you just start with, I didn't have anything on for a long time. And then I thought, oh, I could probably throw my pond videos on there, right? So I just started putting my pond videos on. I've got a couple pond videos on there. But yeah, again, it's like if you look on that account, not my captive desk, you're going to see, oh, what, he's just got a couple pond videos. I'm not going to talk to him. It's like, well, what difference does it make if you use the account or not? Well, I don't think he understands when you sign up, you get an account, and a lot of people don't use them.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's what he means by anonymous. He clicks on the name and he goes and he looks, whatever. And if there's no content, you're anonymous.
Yes, they want to remain anonymous. They want to remain hidden, right? And it goes along with the overall character, I would say, of atheists. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
I want to make a point real quick. Within the context of Hebrew religious lore, think about how many centuries went by before God decided to tell anybody his real name.
Yeah.
That's pretty sus, right?
Well, and it just very practically, who wants to get doxxed? That's why we use handles, and that's why we use avatars, is so we don't get doxxed and have people, just screw our lives up royally,
right,
just out of vindictiveness.
Right. His entitled mob rule religion makes it dangerous for most people to come out, and put their name to content. Dangerous. And then he complains, and then as a member of the same religion that makes it dangerous, he then complains that we aren't doing the thing that they made sure it's dangerous for us to do. How much sense does that make, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember when I first started.
Go ahead, Mike.
When I first started the channel, I was really afraid, because if I showed the wrong screen, they'd see my real name, because I was dealing with Standing for Truth and Nephilim Free and all these kind of stinky people that sort of scared me. But then when I finally started using my name, it's such a relief to not care about that at all. It's like, bring it on.
Right. Well, some people can afford to not care about it,
Well, like I interviewed for a job last week, 2 interviews. The interviews went great, but they decided not to hire me. It could well have been because of my channel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So. Right.
And depending on the situation, you know, some folks just are in the closet. You know, they're in family, friends, relationships, work environment, where they could jeopardize a lot just by saying they don't believe. So I don't fault anybody for having a handle or not having content, or, you know,
Right.
but whatever they want to do, that's everybody's on, and that's part of, you know, like I said, that's part of the thing you can do online. You can make up a name and you can go on and you can talk, and
Right.
I don't think anybody's really ever had an issue with it before, except for maybe a Hawaiian shirt guy saying something stupid about it. But I don't think it's an issue, Patrick. I don't think it's an issue.
As most anonymous trolls are, they want to try and trigger you, and they want to try and be a nuisance of themselves, and they're very good at doing that. But I wanted to mention, I already made a video in the past about the different types of atheists, and so I'm going to briefly go over those as well, but I'm going to cut straight to the chase. The easiest response, I believe, for atheists is to say good luck with your atheism. And if you've seen some of my responses in the past, that's a response that I very often reply with. You know, atheists, you really cannot change their mind. They have this psychological need to have this kind of secret knowledge, you know, that they're smarter than everybody else. And
Oh, that go ahead.
Rod, what sweeping generalization much?
Well, who's pretending to have the secret knowledge in the divine book, right?
Yeah. Indeed.
All right.
Hey,
Either.
hello, Stephanie. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Stephanie's a believer, but Stephanie and I always have great discussions, and you know, we get along fine. So, not beyond the realm of possibilities.
All right.
they have all these reasons why that they don't believe in God and all that kind of stuff. The bulk of atheists,
Yeah, and he kind of is dismissive there. Well, they just have all
Oh,
this
I got their
stuff.
reasons.
They got all this stuff,
Yeah,
you know.
I got their reasons.
If you look around, Patrick, look around at different people's stories and stuff, you're going to find that people came to atheism a lot of different ways and for a lot of different reasons. And it was more than just some stuff. A lot of people have a hard time, as we were just mentioning, depending where you come from. You know, you may have lost relationships, friendships, family members won't talk to you anymore. You could have lost your job. It could be a lot of things just by saying a few words. So
Yeah, and they moan about being persecuted. You know, I don't really decry persecution for atheists, but Christians sure do, and they're in control of the country.
Apologia comes to mind, right? He had a lot of relationship issues. Some of them have been mended and others haven't. When he came out that he wasn't a believer, right? So it can be a very difficult decision, and some of us, were never really believers. I say as a cultural Christian, we went to church as kids, but as far as any pressures on me to go or to believe or anything, I never faced that, and so I can speak from experience, but there's been plenty of people that have spoke about it. And as Scott mentioned earlier there too, believer for a long time. So it's not always an easy thing for somebody to go through, or it can be fairly easy for some of us because we're never in it that much. It varies a lot.
out there are in particularly atheists towards the Christian God, right? And this is
James mentions this a lot. Why do we talk about the Christian God a lot, James, and not the great spirit on the mountain?
Right. So we live in a culture where a particular religious domain tries to push itself into every facet of our lives, even at the highest government levels with legislation, and in public schools. Some of the teachers are doing it, some of the students are doing it. Children are surrounded by it, adults are surrounded by it, rights are lost because of it, right? The reason people don't talk a whole lot about Islam in America is because Islam isn't a major force of concern here in America. The reason people talk about it more in the UK is because Islam is rising in the UK and making itself heard, making itself known, making itself a problem for people in the UK. The reason why Islam is on everybody's mind, predominantly in Sharia law countries, is because that's what pushes itself into and over everybody's lives. So he's mostly talking with and interacting with people that are in the West and mostly in America. And Christianity is what we grew up around. Christianity is what a lot of us are coming from, and that's what we're contending with. So that's what's on our mind, and these are the discussions that we have.
Well said.
Yeah, if you look at his channel, how many of his videos have the word atheist in them? I mean, who's picking on who here? It's like, come on.
Right. It's interesting. Yeah, you make a good point, Mike. Why is it that people in his religious culture don't make a lot of videos challenging deists or Wiccans or Native American spiritualists or whatever?
Right.
It's always a culture war polemic for these people. And for the most part, atheists are just pushing back. That's it.
Yep.
Common across the spectrum. They if you look at Richard Dawkins' writings, 99% of his argument is against the Christian God. Now, there wasn't
for the same reason.
Why the hell would I bring arguments against an Islamic God to a Christian? Like most
Christians are going to stipulate that 4 is not a God.
Well, and Richard Dawkins has addressed the Islamic God too. He went to a Islamic school in one of his documentary things or whatever. So he has addressed Islam too. So just
I want to beg the forgiveness of Almighty Thor if I offended him.
Yeah, but Richard Dawkins is not our idol or our god or demigod or anything else. Richard Dawkins was outspoken, and in recent years, many of us think Richard should step back because he seems to be putting his foot in his mouth a lot. And it's okay to put up the gone fishing sign and retire, good sir. You had a fine career. There's no reason for doing any more of these interviews that really come off bad. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a parallel with every time you talk to them about evolution that, you're a Darwinist or you read Charles Darwin. No, we don't. Not anymore. You don't have to. I mean, a lot of you kind of should read the book, but I never did because I read other books on evolution that are like made after 1950.
Right. I would. Yeah, that's a fair point. Missing Mod. Like, I kind of want to know, like, which walk on the wild side or dark side would Missing Mod be doing if they weren't worried about what a god thinks? What is it that they would be out there? I mean, I kind of want to know. Do you guys want to know?
Well, when you take a ride on the dark side, if you don't go too extreme with it, what you're going to find yourself doing is balancing it into your life in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find some things acceptable about it. You'll find other things that you don't want to do, just like anything. We don't need to be banned from a certain lifestyle by some dogmatic authority who gets their information from dreams of old people from millennia ago. You can take a walk on the dark side, but eventually you're going to find a balance between the dark and the light.
Take a walk on the wild side.
That's right.
We have
I don't know what evolution has to
we
do
have
with that.
cookies, Stephanie. So the dark side has cookies. So
Missing Mod says I've been wild already. Pixar, it didn't happen. Missing Mod, Pixar, it didn't happen.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
guys, it's been enjoyable. I'm going to have to go now a little early. I got some things I have to prepare before diving back into grandchild hell.
All right, man. Have a great one.
Okay,
It's not really hell. I love it, but they get wild sometimes.
Sure.
We understand. You enjoy it.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
Okay.
Peace.
Yeah, and Stephanie's a good sport too. So
Yeah, if there's somebody out there in chat that wants the link, just shout. We got space.
yeah, the link should be pinned.
Is it pinned? All right, I don't have that window open.
Oh yeah, it
link,
is.
link
All
is
right.
pinned. So yeah,
Very
anybody
good.
wants to join, you can join.
Yep.
There we go.
Exception with Christopher Hitchens. I read his book, God is Not Great, and he wasn't as afraid to come out against harshly towards Islam. That's very rare, very, very rare. Probably mostly because they don't understand the Quran or they've never read the Quran. But be that as it may, most atheists are antagonistic towards the Christian God, and that shows, that reveals their bias in that direction, right?
No, I can use the same arguments against any religion, and often you will hear an atheist say, you know, what's the difference between Yahweh and Zeus and Thor and, you know, whatever. You can go down the line, right?
Right.
No, we don't. It's not a favorites game or anything, as James explained well. There's a lot of Christians around here starting problems. There's also a lot of other religions around, don't seem to be causing problems. So,
Right.
you know, live and let live, right? They want to do their thing and they want to have their beliefs. That's fine. That's part of our Constitution. Okay. We gave the people in this country the right to do whatever religion you want or not have one. And I don't think they understand. Again, he doesn't seem to talk a lot, as you guys mentioned, about other religions and other beliefs. It's just either you're a Christian or you're an atheist. And it's like all of us together are still only a minority of the world. So no, just no.
Islam and Christianity are so close together that I just lump them together. I assume if I'm arguing against Christianity, it's the same as arguing against Islam.
Yeah,
I don't see them as that different.
What they call the Abrahamic, yeah.
Yeah, quite often in my blogs, I use a phrase like moral authoritarian religions or religious fundamentalists, that I can cast that wider net. Because really, if there's a problem that exists across the spectrum, why not say so?
I call them man-god bear religions.
Man-god
religions.
And you know, from some of the different Eastern religions too, they are more inclusive. So they already include other people without you having to, you know, so-called go through a ceremony or anything like that, right? They're more of a global thing, you know. Everybody's, you know, good with us, you know what I mean? So it's the Western idea of you have to pick a team.
My introduction to Buddhism was basically they explained that you could be you're a Buddhist, basically a Zen Buddhist. You can elect to be a Christian for a while, and he described it as putting on a jacket or a cloak, and at any time you can take it off. So you can elect to have any kind of belief you want under Buddhism. So Buddhism is very all-encompassing. At least Zen Buddhism is.
A quickie, hello, Levum. Thanks for stopping through. Had a lot of fun with you the other evening on when we had the big super mega stream, doing tarot card readings, and thanks for all the fun that evening. And I also dropped by, and they had 6 ladies doing readings, I think, and one of them's name was Angel, and she did a reading for me. I think it was yesterday or something. We had a good time over there. So if you want to get some tarot card readings or just listen in and learn about it, stop by the Occult Examiner. Okay.
Nice.
They say, oh no, I don't believe in any God, and all these other gods are fine. But really, when you listen to what they're saying, they hone right in on the Christian God, and they don't like that at all, right? And so there's many reasons for that. And so if you want to...
I'm sorry, did I misspeak it? Jevum, I'm sorry. Oh, no.
The Christian God
most people don't...
Stinky. It's kind of a stinky God, I think. So, I don't know.
I did. If I messed up the name, I'm sorry. Jevum.
Don't get past the first minute or two of a video, and if you want to skip this, you're more than welcome, because that's the norm, and that is what I would recommend, is just say good luck with your atheism. The reason why I say that is because atheists abandon the idea of any type of intervention by God, to be rescued by God, to be guided by God, to be encouraged by God, anything like that. And if you look at most of the stories of the Bible, they are stories of God intervening in the lives of humanity, different humans, right?
And that's one of the things we bring up. It doesn't seem to happen these days. It only seems to happen thousands of years ago. And then when you present, well, why isn't, something happening, right? Why aren't these miracles happening and everything? Then it goes right back to, for some reason, it only happened a long time ago, and now you're supposed to have faith. But then it seemed that they got some evidence, right? But you don't get it today. You just have to go on the faith of the evidence they had gotten when they asked for it a long time ago. So it seemed to be, God was demonstrating itself, but not today. And that's one of the questions I always ask is, and many others do, we don't see these things happening. We don't see magical animals. We don't see miracles. We don't see all the different things described in the Bible just don't seem to be occurring. So,
well, for God, one day is 4,000 years. So he got up early and hung out, in the morning 2,000 years ago, and now it's afternoon and God has taken a nap. So we're not going to see him at all for another 500-600 years, right? He's napping. That explains it.
Yeah.
I can be an apologist too.
Could do it.
Yeah.
A lot of us know the arguments pretty good. Yeah.
So somebody asks, why do so many people conflate atheism with being rational? And I think the reason for that in this particular social ecosystem, and it's not a global thing, not even a national thing, right? This is an ecosystem of people who are here for the contest, that are in the arena to compete over religious and non-religious ideas. Within the context of that culture, people do conflate often atheism with rationalism. But the reason for that is because most of the people who are trying to bring rationalism to fundamentalists are atheists. And so it's easy to accidentally end up conflating the two ideas. But in any case, I think it's really offensive, honestly, to say that God does miracles in people's lives. And when Christians talk about that, they're all like, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it joyous that God does miracles in individual people's lives? And I'm like, wait a minute. Think about all the children that are dying, who he had to walk right past, dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions, to get over to you to help you find your car keys, to help you get that raise, to help you get that mortgage, right? To help you overcome some minor physical ailment, whatever it was, or even if you end up in remission from cancer, right? Think of all the people that he did not help within the context of your religious narrative. Think about how offensive that is, because if you're saying that the reason he helps you is because he loves you, then the implication automatically is that he values you more than he values other people. And I have a serious problem with that.
I watched a tornado chaser video down south, and the tornado chaser was obviously a real believer. And they went and rescued this old couple out of their house, and they were walking out of their house was completely leveled. And somehow they only got bruises and cuts and scratches. And they were walking them out, and they were like, thank the Lord, thank the Lord. And I'm looking at their house and I'm thinking, Lord, you could have left them a house. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then, you know, down the road, there's little kids that, you know, got ripped out of their beds and killed, you know, and it's like, thank the Lord. It's like, it was just so goddamn funny to me that they were thanking the Lord and walking this very disoriented looking septuagenarians out of their house. And they were like, what the fuck? What, you know, what happened to me? And their house is leveled and they're thanking the Lord. I'm like, really?
What's up, Jester?
Hello. I don't have much time, but I kind of wanted to respond to this whole thing on helping people. That because one of the things that has made me a advocate against Christianity is that this supposed God, despite I was in a bunch of deliverance ministry stuff, and then he couldn't even stop my parents from gaslighting and abusing me all the time, and like giving with one hand and taking with the other. So it seems funny to me that he's up on a soapbox talking about it, and he seems like the type who would also do that.
Yep. That's he seems to go back and forth. Mike and I we're not really sure yet, but it seems to lean that way.
But it's that, for me, it's the fact that he's double speaking everything that makes me think he's got to do it to his own family.
It's possible.
God intervening, and he's rescuing somebody here. He's, you know, giving somebody a hard time over here. He's talking to somebody here. Most of it is based, of course, on redemption. Sometimes it's based on killing people too, right? But for the most part, it is
See you later,
God
Stephanie.
giving victory to somebody that seeks him. That's mostly what the stories of the Bible are, whether it's Moses, David, you name it. Most of it is about God intervening in the life of a believer. Now, for the atheist, because that is not an option, what are they left with? They are left with random chance. They look at the universe as just this random thing that came to be out of nothing.
Believers are getting all the treats.
It's interesting that they don't have higher cancer recovery rates. They don't have higher survival rates from accidents. They don't have any of the statistical significant numbers to show that they're being preferenced by super beings looking out for them.
Yeah, hell. I mean, if they're getting all the treats, then I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
Not fair, man. Not fair.
Yeah,
You know, I'd say, yeah, if there was a clear statistic that, you know, the faith healers or just believers could go into a hospital and make a difference, I don't think anybody would be against that, but it doesn't seem to show in the numbers.
no.
I might also state that a good God might also sway the numbers the other way, that he might heal more of the non-believers in hopes that they would come to know him.
Yeah.
And view the fact that, hey, you're coming to be with me, as reason not to heal them.
Yeah.
If I see one undeniable miracle, I'm on board. I mean, all of it.
Yeah, if you had a terminal diagnosis and then
my tumor disappeared overnight.
Yeah, it was a miraculous cure. Sure, I might be swayed to believing something was behind it. Yeah, that's very powerful experience. So yeah, that could be very Very, very
Yep.
persuasive, I think. Yeah.
Or if the
Anywho,
rapture,
I got to run back to the bottom because I'm back at work, and
Okay.
have a good night.
You too.
All right, Jester,
Okay,
you
thanks.
too.
Bye, Jester.
And hello, Joe.
What's up, guys?
We're
Hey,
just waiting for you, man. Just waiting for you.
I
Good to see you.
I figured that was the case.
Say, oh, well, your God came out of nothing. I think that was one of the arguments that this LG guy mentioned. Well, that's why Moses explained the origin of God, right? In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. God always was. In Revelation, it says the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. God always is eternally existent. And of course, Christ came and explained more details of what God was like. So the atheists have a problem because they don't. All they believe in is the universe, and they admit that the universe had a beginning. The
Wow, I mean, there's just so much wrong there.
Yeah.
no. Nobody.
No.
I don't think any physicist says the universe had a beginning. Or that
Not
there
unless- So
Yeah.
they say it, but they don't mean what he means by it.
Right. They mean that there was an expansion, basically, that things were pretty tight at one point, like very, very compact and hot. And we don't know if that thing itself is inside of some other thing in a fifth dimension or more dimensions, or we don't know anything about what happened before that expansion. All we say is an expansion. I mean, this idea that something came from nothing, basically they have the idea that God was always there. That basically God is like what is it called? Atheity. Okay, atheity means that it was self creating, self-supporting. Basically, it didn't create itself; it always was. And physicists believe that about the physical universe. That this thing that we're in is like a changing aspect of something that always was. I mean, there is no such thing as nothing. Obviously.
I feel like he's saying he doesn't believe the universe exists.
Yeah.
And of course, we have ex nihilo, which is out of nothing. So it's actually a theist belief that everything was made out of nothing.
Right. And the beliefs that he's expressing right now are not the original beliefs of the Abrahamic religions. These are later developed beliefs. They're not in the Hebrew Bible, right? And Dan McClellan has gone to great lengths to explain this to people. They just aren't listening. That creation ex nihilo is a later developed idea. It's not anywhere in any Bible. And this idea, even Genesis 1:1, has been misunderstood. Originally, the way that it originally meant isn't about the creation of the universe. It's about an already existing universe with multiple gods, and one of them says to the other in the council of gods, hey, let's make some people, let's make a world. And so they came up to this already existing world, again, not created in the book of Genesis, an already existing water world floating in a dark abyss. And they came up to it and decided to start terraforming it. That's what the story is about. It is not about creating the universe. And so even the idea of the supernatural God existing outside of all time and space, that's not in there either. As Francesca Stavrokopoulou has pointed out in her book, God and Anatomy, the original idea of Yahweh and the other gods was they were entirely physical entities operating by entirely physical means. Supernaturalism as a nonsense concept or a non-concept took many, many centuries after the Bible to really develop. It's not in there. There's nothing supernatural in a Bible. It's all physical. So he just doesn't even know his own religious history, which is okay. But, the reason I don't go into a forum where people are discussing brain surgery or rocket science and tell them what I think about it is because I don't know enough about it, right? I'm just going to go in there and embarrass myself. What's the point of it? And this is exactly why Christian fundamentalists should honestly shut up and just start listening. That's it.
Yeah, I left a comment on this video that basically said, unless you got a serious degree in physics, we all need to shut up about the Big Bang.
But they can't have humility in that area because they think that they actually do know those things.
Yeah,
It's almost like a form of Dunning-Kruger, only a little different.
No, I'll buy a form of Dunning-Kruger. I'll buy that from top to bottom. Absolutely. Physical Dunning-Kruger when it comes to physics and cosmology, Dunning-Kruger when it comes to morality and social physics and relationships and human morality, Dunning-Kruger turtles all the way down.
And Chris points out, basically primitives had it all figured out. And we've discussed this before. There seems to be a mystique with old books that if the book is really old, somehow they knew things that we don't know now. And obviously, obvious to me anyways, there's nothing in any of these religious texts that was beyond the knowledge of their time. If there was something in there, that would be impressive. And you will get post hoc arguments that, oh, this means this and this means that. And they're usually things like there's currents in the ocean because of something about mentioned in the texts. But people have been in the water in boats for a long time. And you figure out pretty quick that if you put the boat in a certain area, it's going to go a certain way. So I don't think knowing about currents was any divine knowledge either.
Right. No atheist says that the universe is ever present, that always was.
Really?
No,
that's not true.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Yeah, and we talk about a lot of different ideas from different people with different ideas of the universe, going over and over again, multi-universes, different dimensions. There's a lot of different views and ideas, and they're interesting to explore, but I don't think anybody really holds to any of them.
It's a fundamental
unless you're the person writing the paper and putting the theory out, actually.
But they have this idea that the Big Bang describes the creation of the universe rather than just the expansion of the universe. And so I think it's just a complete misunderstanding of what the position actually is.
And we don't pretend to understand it either, because as Mike just said, these things are for people that dedicate their lives to doing these things and understand the math behind all of this. You have to rely somewhat on these people that do know better and know how to do the math that can show these things match up with whatever they're finding in the latest telescope or whatever else, and accept that all these experts maybe just know a little better than they did 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, Roger Penrose has something called the conformal cyclic cosmology.
That's Sir Roger Penrose.
Yeah, Sir Roger Penrose. Anyway, that basically it just keeps expanding, but the scales are like, he explains it mathematically and with geometry, and it makes a lot of sense. But it just keeps expanding, and then it's in that hot condensed state again. And I don't know how it all comes out, but I mean, a lot of people don't believe that this thing was created ex nihilo. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know where you got that shit from.
No, that's a big fail, Patrick. We're in unanimous. If you didn't see how quickly we said no, that's a bad one. Don't use that one no more.
Told the universe had a beginning, whether you believe in the Big Bang or what have you. If you have an expanding universe, it had to expand from a single point. And so the universe had a beginning, and they have no explanation for it. Whereas for the believer, God is eternally present. God always was, right? From our perspective, we can't even understand that. But that's solves that problem. You say, well, that's a cop-out. So what? Too bad.
It is a cop-out, and so what? It's like you can just as easily say the universe always existed. So you don't need
Yeah,
a
I wanna
creator
point
for
out-
something that's always existed.
I want to point out that a single point doesn't really exist because it has no extension in space. The single point is a concept that we came up with, right? You can't have a
Yeah,
single.
That's true.
The Hawaiian shirt guy often says the singularity is a dot on a page or something. It's like, that's not what it is. It's a concept, a mathematical construct or concept, or whatever the proper word is.
Yep.
It's so sad. Sorry, you don't have the same escape. But it is what it is, right? God is he ever present, always was, always will be.
That's
And the
fine.
God and the universe and or energy always was, can't be created, etc., etc. It's not an argument. It's just saying, it's just making a claim.
It's divining your own God into existence.
Yeah, it's like, okay, all hail Bigfoot.
The beginning and the end, in all, through all, and everywhere. So, yeah, so because they're left with randomness and no intervention by God, they are dependent upon luck. It's just blind luck. That's all they're dependent upon. And so when I tell the atheists, good luck with your atheism, so I know I'm not going to change their mind. I know I'm not going to convert them, even though we're instructed as believers to share the good news. Say, hey, you know what? There is an option, right? If you put your trust in God and you reach out to Him, you seek Him, He'll draw close to you. That's what Scripture says. It says, draw close to God and He will draw close to you. But they don't want any of that. So that's why they are dependent upon luck. And I say, well, good luck with that. Good luck with your atheism. And
Pause it.
Okay, luck and random chance for evolution. None of that shit makes any sense in science at all. Basically, everything is causally connected with huge networks. Okay, when we say something is random, what we mean by that is that we don't understand how all the variables play in, and then it looks random. Like if you shake dice, I mean, it's perfectly determined how the dice come up, but we don't know what all the things that led to that particular roll coming up. So we'll say, oh, it's random, right? And if you shake it a lot of times, you manage to, because of the degrees of freedom, you manage to exhaust it. So the numbers will come up 1/6 of the time, each one of them, right? Or no, it's something different. Well, if you have 2 dice, it's different. Anyway, so this bullshit about random and chance, we need to remove that word from our vocabulary. When we say that mutations are random, that is us judging something based on what we know about the variables, right?
Right.
Mutations are not random. It was causal all the way up, basically. There was a reason that something mutated. Anyway, that's my latest rant.
Randomness is a strange idea, I think, but I've got a problem with the other thing he said. He talks about how the Bible tells him to go and convince atheists, but he's talked to a few atheists and he's choosing not to do that. So good luck with your atheism. And I think this really sums up the problem with his whole view, is he's choosing how he wants to interpret things, what he wants to do, defining the God, strawmanning the atheist. And that's why so often we find that the atheists don't take some of these people seriously.
Yeah. Yep.
I see Demon Orb. What's up? How you doing? And Bree is in the house. And Sydney's Raptors here. Love Sydney.
Hi, Bree.
Jasper, if I didn't say hey. Hi, Jasper.
Tons of mice.
Hey, Mike.
Tons of mice.
I know that you watched. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
Go ahead.
I know that you watched whenever I had the guy on that talked about all the quantum stuff. What do you think about superposition being random?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know either. That's the case.
Well, Mike, you need to get on it, Mike, and figure it out.
Figure it out, Mike.
yeah, there's some spooky stuff there. The way we do quantum mechanics, basically, you know, we have this probability, and we call it like we call it a wave, basically, because it looks like one if you draw it out, but something else entirely is going on, and you have to know a lot about physics in order to get a really good idea of what that is. You know, and superposition is just the way it comes out. Two particles interact, right? And then once they've interacted, okay, they call it a waveform collapse. What they mean is that it picked a spot on that probability curve.
Yes.
And we have causality, right? So whether or not the universe is entirely determined, or if there is some actual random thing going on, our minds can't even get around that stuff, right?
I agree.
We just need to stop with the random stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's about as much as I know about it.
Right on.
And
I won't sidetrack us too much with that. I just was wondering.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah.
And as you were talking about, exactly knowing how the dice will come up, I have a magic trick, and when you put the dice in the magic box, every time you shake it, of course, you have to know all this in your head, right? That's part of being a great magician and everything. But every time you shake the box, it moves all of them a quarter turn. So you'll know, if you know the stuff in your head, you can know exactly what they're going to be if you shake it, say 6 times or 20 times. If you're good, what they call a card counter or whatever in your head, you know exactly how many shakes it'll take. And if somebody say, I want the dice to be such and such, you know exactly how many shakes. You open up the magic box and there it'll be. So it can be exactly determined. But the variables are controlled, by the shape of the box. That's how it works.
And if you roll dice fairly, I mean, a dust particle could change the outcome. You know, if it's really close to 2 possibilities, even a microbe could change it. You know.
Yeah, well, and everybody's hand is different, and everybody, has a microsecond different launch from their hand onto the table. All that has to be taken into account.
Yeah.
But if you know all of those things, I mean, if the 3-body problem wasn't in the way there, if you knew all of those things, at the moment that your brain decides to release those dice, you could actually determine what they're going to land on based on the environment. But it's just too much information to process.
You'd have to have a computer you'd have to have a computer the size of the galaxy to know all those things.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's it. That's how they're going to live their life, and they're happy with that. But the rest of it is trolling, right? The rest of it is trying to get a reaction out of you, because they have, as I said, a psychological need to support their morality. They say, my morality is better than God's morality because God's a monster, and they...
No, I get a rise out of you because it's fun. It has nothing to do with my morality. It's just like, it's fun.
Well, he admits he's doing it too. I mean,
he's doing it too.
Yeah.
I'm a little different on that issue.
Well, and to be fair, sometimes the argument is so poor, maybe all you got back was a poor response. Some of the arguments people just don't think are all that good, and you might get a blah blah blah, and take it for what it is. Some people just don't want to explain something they've already just bothers them because they've heard it so many times, and it's such a bad argument. Like a couple of the ones you've made here that we jumped on and said no, bad argument.
Yeah, I feel no need to explain myself to Christians or theists in general.
Yeah. Going back to that original video that he did about me, basically, we had an exchange. Okay, I poked him, he poked me. We were at odds. We were poking each other. And then he did a video that gave me a little respect for him, and he showed a little respect for me. And now we're having a conversation. We got to know each other. We're getting two humans getting to know each other. We may start out with this poke, and at odds. But at the end of the day, we're just reaching out and getting to know people. We're interacting with Patrick.
Cross borders.
So yeah, cross borders.
Hey, the trusty ape is in the house. Good to see you, ape.
Hi, ape. Kevin.
Go on and on and on about that. So, but there are many different reasons. So I'm briefly just going to go over, how am I doing for time? I just want to make a short video today. The different types of atheists that I've categorized, and I made a separate video about this, but I'll just briefly go over them. The first type is the scoffer, and you'll see that this guy, LG Pi 314, he's fitting into a number of these different categories. The scoffer, the demanders of evidence, the fairy tale atheist, that's the first three, 1, 2, and 3.
Well, demander of evidence, I think everybody, you can call it demand, but everybody expects evidence for claims. You can throw many things right back that, he's trying to use as an argument that just won't apply. So
yeah, you got to give me some reason to believe. You can't just point to the Bible, because I have no history with that old moldy book, and I have no reason to buy anything in that book. And if you can't come up with something to persuade me, I'm going to remain unpersuaded.
And again, it's okay, well, you believe it, that's fine. And as we're mentioning, people believe in a lot of other religions and superstitions and on down the line. And you haven't shown why it's anything but demonstrating that people believe in a lot of different religions and beliefs and superstitions, and their cultures influence it, etc., etc.
Yeah. I place Tolkien's work much higher than I do the Bible. I don't know.
Well, that's fair. I feel the same way about the back of the Lucky Charms box.
Yes. I was exposed to that very early on.
Yeah.
That was our reading material.
Yep.
Yeah.
The morally offended atheist, and the victim atheist, and then the honest atheist, which is a very rare type of atheist. Honest atheist, he hates God.
I got a problem with that. The victim atheist, which he says with condescension instead of with compassion, and he differentiates them from the honest atheist. So what he's saying is that all the people in the world who feel like they've been severely wronged by these religious fundamentalist bullshit sects or whatever are somehow being dishonest. Like, his position then is what? People aren't really wronged by his religion? They're not really abused?
James. Great catch.
Yeah.
I agree.
Chooses to not believe in God and chooses to go to hell. That's usually the characteristic of the honest atheist.
The choosing to go to hell thing is just always so weak. Do you want a bowl of broken glass, or do you want a bowl of ice cream? Right? You're not giving a choice. It's not it's just
also
terrible. It's terrible.
I say this a lot, and I could be wrong, but I don't think that belief is a choice. Either you're convinced something is true or you're not. Right. The consequences thereafter are irrelevant, right?
Right.
Yep. Doxastic voluntarism, I think they call that. To give you the 75-cent word for it.
Right. This is how
I'm from Kentucky, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. You only paid 25 cents for your words in Kentucky.
That's right.
But yeah, any religion can say, hey, if you don't believe, something bad is going to happen to you and threaten you into it. And that's what he repeats it a lot is, well, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. Good luck in hell. You're going to burn in hell.
There's a reason for that.
Why are you choosing that? And it's like, I don't think anybody's choosing that. I mean, we may mockingly say it, but Yeah, nobody's choosing the bad place over the good place. Obviously, if there's a great place, everybody wants to go to the great place. We just also don't see any evidence for
Good
the
place.
great place.
Yeah.
Right.
The good
See,
place.
it doesn't work to just promise a great place. There also has to be
Yeah.
the threat of some kind of bad consequences if you don't listen. And that's what makes it more convincing to people who are uninformed, and how this grew in a time when people were largely uninformed.
And I've
Yeah,
said
I think the
before,
whole
Matt Dillahunty was asked, wouldn't you like there to be an afterlife? And he says, oh, sure, I'd love to play cards with grandma again, you know? And that touched me because I spent a lot of times playing cards with my grandma, right?
Me too.
And who wouldn't want to play cards with grandma again? Of course we would. Of course we would. It's silly to think that we wouldn't, but we just don't see the evidence for it. Now, if when we close our eyes for the last time and take our last breath, and we wake up at the table, in my case, it would be, you know, the kitchen or dining room table at grandma's house with a bowl of potato chips and a ice cold Pepsi in the big bottles, you know, with the well-worn deck of cards out, and grandma's got the cigarette. She used to bite the cigarette and it would point up, you know what I mean? She got that cigarette pointing up there, and she's shuffling up them cards, and we're going to play some cards. And, oh, I loved her to death. She was awesome. Who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't want to do that? Yes, that's what I want to wake up to. But promising it's going to happen, or promising, you know, if I don't accept your story, that I'm going to wake up on fire forever and ever.
Yeah, I think that
that
whole
nothing
thing
I can do about it, I guess, right?
That hell thing, like I pointed out earlier, is about this. Humans have a strong sense of justice, okay? That we want to really, really hurt people who hurt us, or who hurt other people, right? So we want them to roast in hell. And I think the whole hell thing was based on our sense of justice and people wanting revenge more so than anything that says in the Bible about it, because it's kind of iffy, right, in the Bible, whether or not you burn in hell. I think there's like one
hell isn't in the Bible.
Yeah, like Revelation has one reference about the lake of fire or something like that.
That's one of the things we agreed with Rebecca at Bread of Life. She doesn't follow the hellfire thing either. And there are good points that the hellfire seems to be reserved for Satan and its angels, not everybody else. So
I did a little bit of research on this. I did a video about it. Hell is usually called Sheol throughout the Old Testament, and it's not really even mentioned that many times. And every time it is, it seems to describe separation from God, or the grave, or annihilation, the pit. It doesn't really describe hell in that way. In the New Testament, whenever we have like visions of hell, like Lazarus and things like that, it's describing the power of hell itself, not actual events. They're meant to be metaphor. It's a vision. I don't think that hell is really described the way that modern Christianity portrays it. But that's just my interpretation. No one has to listen to me.
That's right. And of course, you have Dante's book, which
was very influential.
I think that was very influential.
Yeah.
Yes, who knows what he's doing?
Drug. I stole Dante's Inferno from Brown Drug when I was 13.
That's a good one. At least you chose a good bottle.
He's going to make a new level. He's going to make a new level just for you.
We got caught shoplifting, and I had a book on Greek tragedy, and I had another one on philosophy that I stole. And the cop, had me in his office, and he was saying, and we also had a Mamas and Papas album that we stole, and we got caught and drug in. And the guy says, and he points at my philosophy books, and he says, "You read this, and you resort to this, the Mamas and the Papas," right? He points them out, and he was just incredulous, like how I could be reading philosophy and be low life shoplifter. I
You
got in
probably
the car.
could have
with
got
my
off if you wouldn't have had the album there.
Yeah, my dad came and picked me up, and on the way home, my dad didn't say a thing to me. And about halfway, he turned to me and says, "Next time, don't get caught." That was my advice growing up, right? Next time, don't get caught.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal crime, right?
Yeah, we robbed so many books from Brown Drug.
He knows there's a God, and he's forcing his mind not to believe in God through a conscious decision. That's the honest atheist. If more atheists were honest, like most atheists will say, "Oh, I have no awareness."
Literally no atheists are saying what he's saying they're saying. Literally none.
Yeah, it's my comment on one of his videos was something about a lot of straw manning, and he doesn't seem to like that word. He mentions somewhere along in one of these that well, it's just a straw man, just straw man. It's like, well, because you're using a straw man.
Right.
Of God at all, mind you, every statement they make is attacking God or attacking Christians, in particular attacking believers in God, trying to show themselves as smarter than people that believe in God, and on and on and on. Now we've added a seventh category.
I've been doing this for a few years now, and you guys know when I talk. You can hardly get me to shut the fuck up. And and not once in these few years have I said anything to try to prove that a God doesn't exist or that Christians are all dumb. None of the things that he's saying that we're stuck on. I just never say those things, and I can't remember ever hearing you guys say those things either.
It isn't about being dumb. It's about like the whole MAGA thing. It's not about being dumb. It's about something really broken in the way you're thinking, or in the sources of knowledge that you are picking. Basically, I got a really good friend, and we've been going back and forth about Trump for a while, and it just seems like we have different sources, for where we're getting our information. And so we're comparing notes, and I'm trying to look at his sources, and I'm still not convinced. By the way, we need to vote next Tuesday. Everybody. Most important election we will ever have in this country.
To try to prevent a major catastrophe that Christianity caused.
Catastrophe. Yep. And it was, and it's amazing how the Republican Party sold out. And when you look at the history of Nazism in Germany, they did some of the same things in order to get the support that they needed from different class levels.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot of parallels, and it is just scary as hell. But anyway, the Republican Party completely sold themselves out, and they became no longer the conservative party, which valued, government not controlling us and valued freedom. They become something else entirely just so they can get that vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anybody here wants to understand how Hitler's Reich developed out of a developed, advanced nation of secular views and values, where there's plenty of religious people, right? But they're progressive and they're technologically advanced. If anybody, and very free, they're out really, they were a multicultural, freedom-orientated society. If anybody wants to understand how that society devolved into the Reich, watch what's happening now in America. It's the same process.
I've got a really good video. I've got a really good video. I'll post a link to it. It's 3 hours on how basically it's on Hitler and the whole thing. There's another one that's even better. I'll try to find that. It kind of explains what was going on in Germany that allowed the Nazi Party to come to fruition.
And it doesn't take a long time because, like everybody was mentioning there, and Mike knows all too well, the Republicans not too long ago, they wouldn't be praising Putin. I mean, that's,
that's crazy.
They're commies, right? They're commies, and commies everywhere. Commies. And it's like, all of a sudden it's become, oh yeah, Putin's a great guy. He's, chum up with him because Trump likes him. It's like what? It's just the whole everything you think you knew about the Republican Party is just out the window. Everything
completely changed. Yeah, the second video I posted is the one that really explains. It's named "Why Did the Middle Class Support Fascism?" And it does the parallels are frightening in what's going on in this country right now.
Well, we're all going to be optimistic, though.
Yeah, no, we're all going to get
well.
out and vote. Optimism ain't going to do shit. Vote.
Everybody do your thing, and I'm being optimistic. I don't want to say anything much more than that, or I'm gonna jinx it.
Well, I have hope for the Republican Party that Trump is going to lose that the Republicans are going to lose in such a landslide that they're going to stop and rethink and get back to the Republican principles that existed back in the 60s.
That would be my ideal optimism. That they're just gonna they're gonna go vote, but they're not gonna click on that first vote. You know what I mean? They're just gonna skip it, and that would be the ideal thing to send a message that the party needs a redo.
Yep.
And I have heard from some people in the politics, there are some that just want to, have a redo in 28. Just vote for Harris and let's have a redo in 28. You know what I mean? So we'll see if there's enough of them.
It's interesting. I watched this one channel, Reverend Ed Travers. He's a very, very progressive Christian. And he's got a video recently where he wonders out loud if the world will ever forgive Christianity for the brink of destruction that it has brought us to.
He's got good videos. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the evangelizing atheist. And that is probably the one that Richard Dawkins fits into. Don't forget, Richard Dawkins' book, Outgrowing God, is targeted at children. Richard Dawkins...
what?
I don't think Richard Dawkins targets children with his books.
I don't know.
No. It's an adult read.
The most evil man alive today, I believe.
The most evil man alive today?
The most evil man alive.
Oh my gosh. Ever since Dahmer, at least.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. Okay. People don't like him. Okay, fine.
Single-handedly, pretty much, destroyed the faith of the country of England, the UK, right? And
no, he grew up with it already being very secular there. He has said so. That's what is it? Is it Anglican or whatever it is? It's very like I often say, it was just a cultural thing, right? It was there, but it wasn't the heavy belief pushed on you. And he said that himself. That's how he grew up, which pretty much is how I grew up.
And the UK is now a Muslim country, achieved by only...
There's a lot of Muslim immigrants there. I wouldn't call it a Muslim country.
6% of the population, and every single mayor
6%.
mayor in the UK today is Muslim, 90% of them anyway, and so that country has been taken over. See, if you make a void, if you get rid of the Christian God, the Muslim God, which is an Abrahamic religion, same as Jews, Christians.
I see where he's going with that. So what percentage of England is Muslim?
He said 6%.
That's taking over? What?
That's what I was wondering. Let's look it up.
That ain't so high.
What percentage of the UK is Muslim?
And Christian too. We want to see.
Yeah,
it
he's
too.
right. Close enough. 6.5%.
Okay, so what percentage are Christian?
46.2.
So they're taking over? Really? That's his idea? The game is 46 to 6, and he thinks his team's going to lose.
There's a little sprinkle of Hindu, Sikh, Jews, and Buddhists at about 1 or 2%, and 37% of no religion. So you have a 9-point difference between how many Christians and no religion. So I think that's the number he should be more concerned about than, 6.5% of England and Wales identifies as Muslim.
Yeah, but you see what he did there. He says, if you don't believe in Christianity, then those terrorists are going to come over and we're going to all be Islam. It's just like, it's just shitting on Islam for one thing, and basically implying that something horrible is going to happen if we don't believe Christianity.
What is it? 40 some to 6 would be what? That's like 7 to 1. That's not taking over.
Yeah.
This is very
It's
much
more,
go ahead.
It's more likely that the crystal lovers are going to take over rather than Islam.
It's very much what Dennis Prager did to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, preying upon her fears of Islam because of what she'd been through when she was younger, and that she's still suffering from the trauma from, right? She never recovered from it. And so they convinced her that the only defense in the society where she lives to make sure Islam never becomes a dominant force over her life again is to ally herself with Christianity, to take advantage of this massive force, this massive social and political force, to push back and serve as a firewall against Islam. And they convinced her of that. And so she became allied with Christianity as a safety measure to keep herself feeling less threatened by Islam.
Yeah, and people that think that Christianity is going to be better than Islam should go listen to some of those Southern preachers with their hate rhetoric,
Yeah. Well, honestly, this guy right here that we're reviewing is not much better than those. He's just not.
Apparently, Joe sent me a message. He's got some internet issues, so maybe he can rejoin in a little bit. We'll see what happens. So,
yep.
Just FYI there. Yeah, some internet demons are jumping around in Kentucky this evening.
Muslims, they're all trying to worship the same God. Comes right in. And the Muslims are much more effective because they're more cohesive than the fragmented Christian denominations. Even though Muslims do have a couple of different denominations, most Muslims are nominal. They're Muslims because their parents are Muslim, or because. And
yeah, that happens a lot. It's a cultural thing. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going.
If only 6% of the UK is Muslim, and most of them are nominal, then where's the threat?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a problem at 46% Christian. So, and that's still pretty high. I mean, I thought it was a lower number. That's still pretty high for, as of course, as Dawkins has said, it's very, a lot of it's moderate. So he didn't seem to get all the hellfire, and neither did I. So.
Right. In the meantime, this guy's argument is, hey, you don't want Islam persecuting you. Why not let us do it?
Well, and the way I understand it, the Muslim hell is worse than the Christian hell, right?
I mean, it depends on which version of Christianity you're talking about, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, again, they have a threat too, right? They have a threat of hell, right?
Yeah, but I'm not...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure what the qualifications are to get you in or out of the Muslim hell, though.
Southern Baptists made it seem like the worst place possible.
Yeah, fact.
Let's see what it says here. What percentage of religions have a form of hell? The majority of world religions, including Christianity, Islam, and some interpretations of Hinduism and Judaism, incorporate a concept resembling hell in their belief systems, says the AI on Google. So there you are. A majority use some sort of a threat in their religions.
They have to.
Sure they do.
Because they're like Catholic, nominal. They go to the mosque once a week and or twice a year or however often they're supposed to go, and they don't give it a whole heck of a lot of thought. But the media portrays it as this. They focus on the zealots, just like they do for Christian zealots as well. The media.
Well, that's because that's what makes the news. I mean.
I mean, the irony of sitting here talking about other people not giving it critical thinking.
Right. And in the meantime, his church and he himself are demonizing atheists in the same way he's talking about.
Media likes to exaggerate the extremes of any religion, for that matter.
Well, isn't it? Is it Harris or Hitchens? One of them that said, if you really want to know what a religion is about, go to the extremists, right?
Right. The
because
problem with
can you say that Westboro Baptist is wrong for holding up their signs with Bible verses on them? A lot of Christians say they're wrong, but aren't they holding up signs with Bible verses on them?
Yeah.
So are they? Are they good Christians or not? Right? Because they're, not picking the nice Bible verses.
Right. As Sam Harris points out, the problem with these religions are the fundamentals of the religions. If you have a Jainist becomes more severe, they just become more peaceful. If you have a Christian and becomes more severe, they become more violent. And the reason is because that their holy texts themselves are fantastically violent, not just in describing violence or saying some violence happened, but in advocating for violence.
Yeah, and a fundamentalist Buddhist would just sit around saying Om all day. Om.
Yeah.
No problem.
So anyhow, you that is the most evil type of person is the atheist that goes out and wants to destroy the faith of others. This is what Satan did in the Bible, right? He destroyed.
No, I'm pretty sure that's not a thing that happens in Bibles. And
it's not a thing that happens in reality either, because if you ask almost anybody, they won't say it's, oh, I watched a video, then I was an atheist. It's always a bunch of things.
I would say Dahmer was more evil.
I can't think of any stories in the Bible where Satan goes around talking to anybody, let alone talking them out of their religion. Like, can you guys think of any examples of that?
It only says that he tempted Jesus, like.
Yeah, and you never get Satan's side of the story. Remember, it's a one-sided story, right?
Right.
And often the criticism about historical records is often the victor wrote these great stories about their victory, and those that were defeated really weren't writing stories about it, right? So
now you've heard these Christian pseudoscientists say that I would have to have more faith to be an atheist, right? Well, my channel Answers in Atheism, the meaning of that name is that I believe that if you abandon your dogma, your dogmatic beliefs, and you stop believing in Christianity, that you will actually have a deeper faith in spirituality. in atheism than you could ever have as a Christian who clings to this cross dude who got crucified on a cross idea. I mean, if you want to experience true faith and spirituality in your life, abandon all dogma.
I'm not going to be as charitable with that statement, because I feel
Okay,
like
well,
faith is
convince you.
dishonest, and that argument about faith is also dishonest, and that it's one of the most dishonest arguments that I hear from apologists. This thing about, well, you have to have faith to believe in science, and you have to have faith to be an atheist. That is, I think that's one of the dirtiest, most dishonest tricks that they do. Not the dirtiest, but it's up there.
Yeah.
It's gaslighting for sure.
I have a very different definition of faith than a lot of Christians, or even so, I mean, it's not belief in bullshit, for no reason. It's a human emotion or state. It's something that humans experience. Basically, that's what faith is.
Sure, I think that's true. I think we all do that in certain circumstances.
All right.
Yeah. When you get out of bed, you never rationalize. You never sit and think, well, let's see. Okay, there's gravity, and I live on the earth. So if I step on the floor's forces are going to put. You don't think that, right? You have.
I
faith.
don't check to see if the floor is there every morning. Yeah.
No, you have faith. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a normal. It's how your brain has to function.
And, well, I think in the Hebrew pistis, which is supposed to mean a reasoned faith, I think that we do have reasoned faith in things like that are supported by evidence, observation, and experience. And that's why they had this separate definition for religious faith, because it abandons all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So, a secular faith is when your confidence in something scales with the evidence. Religious faith is when their confidence takes a huge leap, because the evidence does not take them where they're trying to get to. It takes them only a short amount of the distance, and they make a huge leap to the rest of the way. That's religious faith.
Yeah. In AA, they talk about that life will not throw anything at you that you can't handle, basically, and it's that sort of an attitude that whatever happens, that I don't have to sit here and worry about the future and worry about death or anything. That no matter what happens, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, the journey will provide.
Yeah, and that's
it's going to happen whether it's okay or not.
Right. Yeah, and you'll get through it one way or another. You might die, but that'll be cool too, because you won't have to worry about it, right? I don't know. Anyway, I call bullshit on Patrick again.
Mike called bullshit in the video. Ain't even playing.
The perfection of humanity, or the state that humanity was in prior to the fall, when he appeared to Adam and Eve, whether it's allegory or literal, take your pick, doesn't matter, right? It's the story is meant for our giving us understanding of how things work in the spirit realm. And so God came to Adam and Eve and said, God didn't really say this, right? Do this, and it's going to be better for you. And so God deceived humanity into relying on their own knowledge,
That's God's fault. God deceived humanity. Okay, then it's not. Well, what are we going to do about it if we're deceived then?
The fact that deception exists is a huge problem for Christianity.
And of course, you can always throw back at them. Maybe the Bible you're reading was written by the devil and you're being deceived.
God created, if the Bible is true, if we give the Bible as true and all those supernatural beings exist, God created deception whenever he created man. And he allowed for man to be deceived in the garden. Why did he allow for that?
Right. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he allow, even if we grant the Christian theology, why would God allow me or Richard Dawkins to trick someone into thinking the wrong thing about God, and then that person as a result goes to hell for reasons that aren't even their fault?
But it gets worse than that, because it says even the elect can be deceived. So, and man can deceive each other. And supernatural beings such as Satan can deceive man, and Satan is able to masquerade as an angel of light. How are we to determine that we're being deceived? We could be sent to hell for something we have no control over, taking away complete free will. These are the kinds of contradictions that make this unconvincing to me.
And wouldn't that just be the buzzkill of all? I mean, one of us actually has a vision of Jesus, and here it's just the devil playing a trick.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It could be that Jesus was actually the devil.
I mean, the Bible say that the devil shows up as a shining angel of light sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could think you got the Holy Spirit showed up, and it's just another trick being played on you. And as somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, Job in the Bible, right?
My favorite book.
A lot of people often say that nobody was righteous but Jesus, but the Bible says Job was a righteous man.
Noah and his family were righteous.
No, yep. So it's not unique. And yeah, Job, look what he had to go through. Noah, I mean, he should have been enjoying his retirement years, and he's got to build a football-sized boat, right?
Right.
Thanks a lot. And then, yeah, his final years are spent scooping manure and, the end of the world and everything. And it's like, gee whiz, yeah. So, and Jesus was righteous, and, that didn't turn out so good. So the examples of the righteous people in the Bible don't seem to be rewarded for it at all. They seem to have gotten the worst of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, if I have a cult of my own, right? If I'm a god or a son of a god or an apostle of a god, I'm going to when I'm assure my people that they're going to be safe. I'm going to give them protections. I'm going to give them assurances. I'm not going to say, oh, by the way, by joining this cult, you're pretty much guaranteed to get all fucked up all kinds of ways.
And that's the thing, and I know Mr. Peace here has a problem with being mocked and stuff, but it opens itself to it. I mean, as we talk about these things, you have to laugh. Some of them are just so ridiculous when you actually just take the time to think about it, and it's not just a passing verse in a sermon.
Yeah.
On their own ideas, their own logic, and their own reasoning. And this is what atheists do today. They rely on themselves. They say, oh no. Adulting is the bad.
And again, he's doing the same thing. He's reasoning that the chair he's sitting on that he put together properly, I'm assuming on his porch, right? So yeah, you're using reasoning. You're reading the directions. You're using reasoning to know that if you don't put all the nuts and bolts on this chair on your porch there, you're probably going to sit on it. It's going to fall apart, right? There's nothing wrong with using reasoning. He's having coffee, right? There's nothing wrong with reasoning that maybe, it's still a little too hot to be drinking, right? Or you're going to burn your tongue. It's a bad argument to say, oh no, you're reasoning.
They have to be against rational thought and reasoning because it leads to a different conclusion. Therefore, it must be bad.
Right. Absolutely. Good point.
What Bible passage did he mention about man using rationality or whatever? Does anybody know that one?
I know the verse that says, "Do not lean on your own understanding."
Right, and the whole thing, his interpretation of that and Genesis. When I was introduced to Genesis and that particular little bit, it was introduced as a metaphor for humans having evolved this brain where we can not only perceive the world, but we can think about perceiving the world, and we can know that we're perceiving the world, and we know that we're going to die. And basically, it's this human curse of having developed a bigger brain that all of a sudden we know things. And if we're going to make a moral decision, we have to think about it and make a choice, right? And that's something that raccoons don't do. They just act in the moment, right? So humans, that's how that whole biblical story was introduced to me, that it was a brilliant metaphor for man having evolved this reasoning ability, and that it is a bit of a curse. I mean, it certainly has done well for us on one hand, but on the other hand, it is a little bit of a curse to know that you know, right?
Yeah, the more things you're aware of, the more implications there are to any action.
Right. Yeah.
And that's losing your innocence. Take the Garden of Eden. Once they ate of the tree, they lost their innocence. You know, they were ashamed of their nakedness and all these things, where before you didn't care, right? None of there was not a care there. Yeah. So
and there was no death because you didn't know. The raccoons don't know that they're going to die someday
because they didn't know plants were living things.
Right. And look at the trolley problem, right? Are you going to switch or are you not going to switch, right? Imagine a creature who could not think or reason making that choice. He would never feel guilty about what he did, and he would probably do nothing, you know, that sort of thing. So he wouldn't have the trolley problem. So the trolley problem is kind of a curse of reasoning, of being able to reason. It's like, oh God,
most people would refuse to play the game. I mean, it's a forced perspective.
Yeah.
And what's a Christian going to do with the trolley problem if they have to get all of their moral answers from the Bible and it's not in there?
They're going to pray.
Pray for guidance.
Bree this morning was covering Ray Comfort, who said if some psycho was coming at him with a knife, he would cry out in the name of Jesus or something to protect him.
Really?
And I'm thinking, really? I'm like, Ray would be skedaddling. Let me tell you, Ray just faint or something.
Proper
I
response.
find that insulting.
Run away.
I find that insulting because our government, and not to get too political here, I'm not going that way, but like whenever things happen that have happened a lot in our country, they send thoughts and prayers. They do the most useless shit they can do. And that is just another example of that. You're doing the one thing that is the most useless, irrelevant, stupid shit that you could possibly do in that situation.
Yep.
Facts. And if you can pray for answers when you need them, why the fuck you need a Bible?
Right.
Yeah, well, Ray also promotes faith healing, and when he had a kidney stone, there's a picture of him on one of his socials where he went right to the hospital to get that taken care of. So you know, he's another one, hypocrite to the max.
Yeah, what Christian missionaries should be doing when they go to these foreign countries is, look, we have this whole entire theological set of stories, but we're not going to tell you what it is. Instead, we're going to teach you this short little prayer, and we're going to leave you alone for the night. And when we come back, you're going to know the whole goddamn story because God's going to tell you, right? Yeah. That's what they should do, but they don't because they know God don't tell people shit when they pray.
Yep. Somebody runs out in front of my car, I do not pray before I step on the brakes.
What I've discovered watching these couple different channels that do all these prophet things from God, one of them is that Bishop and the other one is that Troy Black guy. A lot of their prophecies and what God seems so concerned about seems to be a lot of what's on Fox News. So I don't know why God is so worried about, the election and whether we have guns or not and all these things. It almost mimics exactly. It's like he's almost falling asleep with Fox News on and having a vision from God. You know,
it's all they got.
And don't check out their pages. I swear it looks like Fox News headlines. It's all these silly things and, one after another. This is what God is worried about. Now, maybe God is really into politics, right? But you know what I noticed there aren't any of? is the word of God on how to make some kind of food that's going to feed all these people in all these countries, something that's got great storage ability and you know, insect proof and mold proof and everything else, and it's cheap and easy to make and feed all these people. There's never anything like that from God. It's always who they want in office or what laws they want to make or something. It's very odd that God doesn't seem to be. And again, you're going New Testament, right? Where is the Jesus thing with, you know, here's a recipe for some cheap, easy. Here's a cheap, easy way for potable water for these people. You know, those things are never in any of these words from God, the divine wisdom. It's Joe Biden, you know, he stutters. That's what God's worried about. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a fallacy and that's a fallacy, and they have all these philosophical terms that they like to throw around, and they rely on their own reasoning, and in their professing to be wise, they've become fools, right? They've chosen a lie over the truth of God. They've exchanged the
Van Til and Bonson don't throw philosophical terms around, the presuppositional tag argument people. Come on, dude.
And Mr. Peace said himself that he took a class or has a degree or something in philosophy.
Okay.
truth that's revealed in Scripture for the lies of Satan. And that is what the evangelizing atheist wants to do. He goes around saying, God's not really real. Don't believe in God. And especially
it's not like a sneaky thing. It's what we've already said. We have a lot of different reasons for not believing there's, at least if we're going to argue the Christian God, we can give a lot of specific reasons. And you asked the Deconverted Man or Mike and some of these other ones that like to do the philosophy thinking, there's lots of logical reasons why the Christian God cannot exist per the Bible. Now, if there's some super being out there in the universe that we don't know about, then we don't know about it. But the Christian Bible, to be honest, and why sometimes Mr. Peace gets a little annoyed with being mocked is there's some silly stories in there, like the magic zoo boat, right? It's just silly. So I do appreciate when he says some of these things are metaphors, not to be taken literal. They have meanings. There we can find common ground, because I agree. These stories are not to be taken literal as far as the magic zoo boat and different things. Anybody else agree?
Sorry.
I love the magic zoo boat.
Yeah, it's, you know, you want to believe in a divine super being, okay?
Yeah.
And I understand that, and Mike especially would understand, you know, that a lot of people believe in variations of that, right? But then you get, oh yeah, and there was this magic zoo boat, and there was a talking donkey and a talking snake, and the more you add to it, you know, oh, and if you blow through your ram's horns, the city walls will fall down. How long do we want to go on this, right? That it invites a little bit of ridicule, that's all.
Yeah.
At least with the New Testament Jesus stories, it's more just, okay, Jesus was walking around, he was doing all these good things, and he threw a little magic in, you know, which is almost believable. Okay. He might have knew some medicine or something and healed some people, who knows? Okay. But there wasn't no magic zoo boat and talking animals and all these things, and people who take it literal, and Joe and I, you know, love to rag on the YEC like Ken Ham and whatnots. It's just silly beyond silliness, and it's sorry you're going to get mocked because it just sounds that silly.
Well, there's a different thing. Apologists and believers are two different things. The believer that is indoctrinated into these ideas and doesn't know better, or has no ability to know better because of the culture and indoctrination that they experienced, is quite a different thing from the grifting apologists like Kent Hovind and Ken Ham. They deserve the vitriol and to have their ideas and actions attacked. Your general believer is innocent in this thing, and I feel bad for those people. But I have a disdain for Ken Ham and Ken Hovind attacking children and some of the things they do.
Yeah,
Ken Ham, the amount of money that guy makes, is just all you need to know.
We could go on for hours.
Yeah, it's pretty much becoming well understood with a lot of different people that cover them, that the ones at the top know they're not telling the truth. And like Joe said, the people that are believing them are believing some that they don't believe themselves when they're talking about it.
I was indoctrinated into young earth creationism and believed it into my 20s. So I know that I didn't have a choice in that. I believed those things were true. But once I had other information, better information available to me, I was able to make a more rational decision. Not everybody gets that chance to do those things. And, or they're so indoctrinated and so deep into their fanaticism that they're unable to do it. And I feel bad for those people. It's not the believer by any means.
When you're immersed in it as a child, it's like boiling the frog, right? I mean, you don't know.
For sure.
It would be like if your parents never actually came clean about the Santa Claus thing, right? And you were raised in it, and it's just like everybody else believes in Santa Claus, and like a lot of people would still believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah,
sure.
Until
you get presents and everything, and you get presents, and you get the day off work, and all these things. Who's gonna really complain, right?
I'm very sorry.
When you're an adult that believes in Santa Claus, you wouldn't buy presents for other people, right? You wait for Santa Claus to do it, and eventually somebody'd have to pull you aside and say, "Hey."
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking. Yeah,
I don't think he's going to show.
I'm saying though, if the presents actually showed up there, though,
right?
Oh yeah,
sure. Santa would be great, right?
You wouldn't wait 2,000 years every Christmas saying he's going to show this year, would you?
Well, when you die, you'll get your present.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You tell that to a kid on Christmas morning. Well, look,
see, he really did bring you presents.
Yeah,
you just won't receive these presents until in the afterlife, and that's only if you've been good. And he's watching you all the time. Seems like a very familiar storyline.
Yep. And that kid's gonna go, Santa sucks.
Yeah.
Santa's not gonna be so great anymore. Yeah.
Santa's horse shit.
Actually, they target children, and that's exactly what Richard Dawkins did with this book, Outgrowing God, that is targeted at children.
Bullshit. Who targets children?
I just looked at that book. It's called A Beginner's Guide, and it is not targeting children at all. It's an adult book.
Not a children's book.
Not a children's book. And let's not let it slide that a lot of church doctrines adopt what they call 4 to 14, which is if you can't convince the kids between 4 and 14, you won't convince them afterwards. They'll be too old to accept a lot of these things. That is an accepted thing. Look it up. It's called 4 to 14.
I mean, how could he criticize giving information to children? No, Sunday school is a friggin' thing. Like this is the point of the church. They target children. They always have targeted children. Ken Ham is dispensing young earth creationist homeschooling for kids, for elementary school kids. Like who targets children?
He makes $100 million a year or so on that children's book bullshit.
Their whole empire is built off of targeting children.
And a lot of them point out, what is it? Train up a child and they will never depart. Something like that in the Bible.
The inability to be self-aware is just quite amazing.
He accuses atheists of that all the time in his videos, that we're not self-aware.
I bet he does. I bet he does.
Projection.
And you can see how blatant and how similar his arguments are to the lies of Lucifer in the Bible, both in Genesis and also during the temptation of Christ, when he came up with 3 different methods to try and convince Jesus to abandon dependence upon God. And he's still doing it today. So, oh, thank goodness, that guy finally finished mowing his lawn. I wish I would have waited to start this video. Sorry about that, because he had this droning on in the...
Yeah, you should have waited. What were you thinking? Man.
He should have prayed. He could have prayed.
Yeah.
No faith. He didn't have faith.
And this evil, again, this, and I'm sure, I'm not going to say anything, but the evil thing that Dawkins is evil and satanic and all these things, and it's like, that's a bit of a stretch,
Dawkins is Satan. I didn't know
there
this.
he is.
What's up, Ryan? How you doing?
Hey, guys.
So that's trying to associate this Satanism thing with the Dawkins is a little silly. It's a little silly.
I don't know.
More than a little.
There is something about like this type of person that just like infuriates me, because it seems like he could like try to engage with atheists. It's just such a bad faith position. He's coming at it from such a, he's poisoning the well constantly. It's awful. He's just because it reminds me of people that I went to church with when I was younger that acted like this, and you're just like, I do not want to be around these people at all ever again in my entire life. This is why I don't go to church, because of people like this guy.
Yeah,
he complains. He complains a lot about atheists leaving snarky comments on his streams. I wonder why.
I have this theory that theists want to consider atheists the enemy, and that somehow we are trying to destroy their religion or disprove it or something like that, when in reality, it's actually these people that make these silly, stupid-ass claims and say stupid things that are driving people out of their own religion. Because we can check
are a product. Yeah.
We can check the claims that they make now. We have the ability to look it up. And
we have.
Whenever
everybody has a cell phone in their hand nowadays.
Yes, and I think it's actually the claims of apologists and the silly things that creationists and apologists say that are causing people to take that deep dive into Christianity and realize that it's probably not true.
Yeah. I think that I think a lot of moderates are leaving Christianity, right?
Yes.
And then what we're left with is like the extremist people like this guy. And it's like people, and then
sorry.
No, I was just going to say the average person, the average Christian, the normal Christian that doesn't hate other people will watch this video and go, geez, I don't want to be associated with this guy. Maybe there is something wrong with Christianity.
Exactly. If you look at the people that are leaving Christianity and the reasons that they do it, it used to be the number one reason was they read the Bible. But
Right.
since the internet has gotten larger, that's kind of changed. It's the people who have some bit of rational thinking or curiosity that want to then, when one of these silly things are said, it raises a red flag and they say, maybe I should look at this. And then they look at that and the next thing and the next thing. I mean, that's exactly how it happened to me. That's how I became an atheist. So to me, it's them that are doing it. They are their own enemy. They are self-destructing before our very eyes.
Couldn't agree more.
So dramatic.
Yeah, some of the top reasons people leave are the anti-science doctrine, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The anti-LGBTQ doctrines.
Right.
And the hellfire doctrines. And what are these folks like Ham and the rest pushing? Those are the top things they push, the driving the people out. And then they say, look what the atheists are doing. It's like, I didn't see any atheists in the room, right? The atheists weren't in the room until you started talking to people.
This is the same thing that we're seeing. This is the same thing that we're seeing go on in our political sphere now, though, right? Because they're making it okay to hate other people that are different than you. Religion has a huge history of doing this, and a very violent and bloody one at that. And we see that whenever you have some in-group that makes it okay to be more public with that kind of ideology, it drives people, the haters, to it and promotes hate. I mean,
yeah, they unleashed the racist at that Madison Gardens rally. Just like, holy shit.
Yeah, they definitely said the quiet parts out loud.
It's not a coincidence that we get the same type of spotty sense from what's going on in the political arena right now to the claims made by theists and apologists. It's because it's the same thing.
Well, they've been pushing that agenda. I remember in the 90s when I went to church, like how they were trying to infiltrate the government, and they'd be praying about that stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's an appeal to emotion. Facts and information are the enemy. It's an appeal directly to emotion, and hate is a very strong emotion.
It is. And it's hard to like, sorry, I was just going to say, it's hard to like stop people from wanting to hate. Like that is something that takes, because they're afraid, right? Like hate is usually fear driven. And that's a really hard thing to like get out of people's psyche. Yeah. So it's frustrating for sure. And we all are.
Just like atheists do, right? They do the same thing. They drone on and on and on. They repeat the same arguments over and over again. And every time they give an argument, they're pointing the finger at themselves because they're saying they have an itch they can't scratch. And now, even today, we have a new type of atheist, which you could call the Christian atheist. There's Christians that are coming out and saying, well, you know, God is like a construct, you know, and we have to... You can start to identify them. They're becoming quite clear. Usually they have derangement syndrome. They use words like we have to care for the marginalized and we have to lay our lives down.
Wait.
What?
Did he just make a reference to Trump derangement syndrome?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, Trump
I totally think he
syndrome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he just shot any hint of credibility he had for reason, for morality, for decency are gone.
But wait a minute, didn't he kind of complain that they want to care for the marginalized people? Is that what he said?
And well, the white marginalized men is what he means.
Oh,
yeah. That's exactly what he means.
We'll do it again here.
Own knowledge, relying on their own ideas, their own logic, and their own reasoning. And this is what atheists do today. They rely on themselves. They say, "Oh no, this is a fallacy, and that's a fallacy."
Who do you think should be doing my thinking?
They have all these philosophical terms that they like to throw around, and they rely on their own reasoning. And in their professing to be wise, they've become fools, right? They've chosen a lie over the truth of God. They've exchanged the truth that's revealed in Scripture for the lies
you have to
of
make
Satan.
Him stop.
And that is what evangelizing
stop it for a second. I was literally gonna come in and like say, I got this book and it says that this guy is gonna say that other people profess to be wise, and that just means he's an idiot. You know, like Jesus, we can do this too, man.
Atheists with their philosophy and their fallacies, and how dare they use philosophical reasoning with me?
He's just offended.
Yeah. He goes around saying God's not really real. Don't believe in God, and especially they target children, and that's exactly what Richard Dawkins did with this book, Outgrowing God, that is targeted at children. And you can see how blatant and how similar his arguments are to the lies of Lucifer in the Bible, both in Genesis and also during the temptation of Christ when he
Man, this guy is
came
so
up with three different.
dumb.
You know how many times I've talked to a child about atheism? Zero times. Not
I've never
once.
told anyone not to believe in God.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
Yeah, the same.
And Dawkins is now directly compared to Lucifer.
Oh yeah.
I will say, hey, I don't think you have good reasons, and I think the reasons you're providing are crap reasons, but that's different. That's way different.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, what is the name of this video again? Dave?
Did we get? We're still on the first one, right?
We're on all atheists are liars. Is that this one?
I think it's on
yeah.
the channel Stupid Porch.
Yeah.
He has a lot of videos, huh?
Yeah. The head title was the best answer to give atheists, but
yeah, I
yeah,
saw
the
this
next-
video pop up.
I think
Last
next
week,
in
maybe,
line
or
was
something.
all
What-
atheists are liars.
What does the
Yeah.
Bible say about childish things? Anybody remember?
To put them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should you at some point you
Method.
need to put away your childish things. And that means in some sense anyway, it could be interpreted as maybe start using actual reason and rational thinking and critical thinking to assess your beliefs and your faith. And if the claim of a God is true, then it should demonstrate itself through that. And the fact that it doesn't is why we're in the place that we're at. Like he's
Yep.
and again, like I said earlier, he has to be against these things because they don't come to the same conclusions that he does.
To try and convince Jesus to abandon dependence upon God. And he's still doing it today. So, oh, thank goodness, that guy finally finished mowing his lawn. I wish I would have waited to start this video. Sorry about that, because he had this droning on in the background.
I was kind of
just
hoping
like
the guy would get
atheists do,
louder.
right? They do the same thing.
Yeah,
They drone
like get closer
on
to
and
them.
on and on. They repeat the same arguments over and over again. And every time they give an argument, they're pointing the finger at themselves because they're saying they have an itch they can't scratch. And now, even today, we have a new type of atheist, which you could call the Christian atheist. There's Christians that are coming out and saying, well, you know, God is like a construct, you know, and we have to, you can start to identify them. They're becoming quite clear. Usually they have Trump derangement syndrome. They use words like we have to care
He
for the
did say Trump
marginalized, and we
derangement
have to lay our lives down, and we have to
What a
love
kook.
all the immigrants at all costs. That's a very big thing, right? They're saying my morality is better than and they're starting to actually hate Christians.
So
Will you
Christians
pause
that,
it?
he came out against caring for the marginalized and being, you know, nice to immigrants. He's actually saying that these atheist Christians are just full of shit because they want to care for the marginalized, right?
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
hell is he
Yeah.
talking about?
Well, he poisoned the well by throwing Trump into it, and if you're not a Trump
Yeah.
supporter, you're one of them. And this whole like it's not necessarily about immigrants. It does happen to be that a lot of atheists are humanists, and we care about people. It's not because they're immigrants or any of that. I mean, there are issues there, and there is nuance to that conversation, but caring about people is not a bad thing. I believe that your Jesus says for you to do the same thing.
No, we want them here so we can get their votes, clearly. Just joking.
Trump derangement syndrome.
I know, it's so silly.
And if you don't vote the right way, there's going to be a hurricane gun pointed at your neighborhood.
Did
Yeah.
you hear about those recent tapes that came out about Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to do a special before the election, actually.
I want
Supposed to be
to.
pictures too.
People like this. I'm
What
like,
is that?
are you serious? You still think the rest? It's all just a big conspiracy, and we're all in it. All these women are lying.
If anyone
Yeah,
should
that-
have Trump derangement
Mhm.
syndrome, it should be the Christians. Trump
Yeah.
violates every bit of that. In fact, if you believe the Bible is true, I don't know how they're not saying Trump is the Antichrist. Like, you know, he's this popular person that that everybody loves despite his immorality and his actions.
Personally, I think DeSantis has more of the Damien look. And
Yeah, he
and if
does.
you rearrange the letters in his name, DeSantis, I mean, that's
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
that's pretty close. That's
If
pretty
DeSantis
close.
hadn't done the weird thing with his tongue, he would probably have stayed in the running for a while. But
And
he
the
was just
white
weird
boots.
with his shoes and his tongue, and
The white boots didn't help either.
yeah.
But see, that's normal stuff, right? You do those silly things and voters kind of go, but that's all out the window with Trump. It's completely out the window with Trump.
Did you see what he
Anybody
did?
else, it would affect their election possibilities. But
Did you
with
see what he
Trump,
did with
it's
the
the opposite.
microphone last night, or was it today? It was today or
Yeah.
last night.
Last night it was like, I can't believe that.
What the
And
hell?
Christians are watching this and saying that's okay. Oh my God. Did you see what he did with the microphone, everybody? You know what we're referring to?
I
I
did not
didn't hear
see it.
about the microphone. No.
He like
pretended
pretended
to
like
give
he was blowing it.
A blowjob. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
a hand job while he was blowing it. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised.
Wild.
It's insane.
I wouldn't be
Like-
surprised if he did further X-rated
I'm
things with it as well. No, I just wouldn't be surprised. I just not surprised anymore.
Oh my God.
Of
It's
any
insane.
kind of patriotism, or they may have any kind of literal interpretation of the Bible. These new modern Christians hate that, right? They want to, because basically at heart they are envious of the morality of the world, right? They are usually they're queer, and they
Oh boy.
Oh,
What?
God.
I missed that
Jeez,
earlier.
dude. Who is this guy?
Oh,
Man, someone
we
give
don't-
this guy a hug.
That's
Seriously.
That's not cool there.
Yeah.
We don't like that one, Patrick. Boo his.
He needs a hug.
are so envious of this new morality. They say, oh, well, these people accept me, then I want to adopt their morality. I want to be a social justice warrior. God is really just the concept of love. There's no judgment in God. There
He's
is no
asking you to do the same thing.
Well, isn't his concept of God love as well? So what's wrong with that?
He's sitting here bitching about people accepting others' morality, but wants you to accept his religious morality as he sees fit. Which means you have to be a Trump supporter, and you can't be a member of the LGBTQ community, apparently. Like,
Yeah.
he is asking you to do the same exact thing he's bitching about. The
He's
hypocrisy
honest.
is getting, the levels are getting high. The shit's getting deep.
He wants to bring slavery back. How much you want to bet?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Of course.
Why is he getting all these right-wing talking points from the United States? He's awful interested.
What they are is just pure Russian talking points is what they really
The-
are.
The Russian bots. I haven't
Yeah.
got my
Yeah.
check yet. Where's my check?
No, these Trumpers, they just regurgitate like propaganda from the Kremlin and they don't even know it.
I think it's interesting how he doesn't have any faith. Right? He's so devoid of faith in God that he feels like he needs to ally himself with a human power in order to protect his interests. He can't. He has to prioritize the quality of his life as he sees it on this earth. Fuck heaven. Fuck all them God promises that God made. We got to take care of matters in our own hands because Jesus didn't come back yet. I'm starting to wonder if he's ever gonna show. I think we're gonna have to take care. Let's take care of the problems. Let's recreate the earth to be the kind of place we want to live in. We're tired of waiting for the God kingdom, right? He doesn't have faith. Christianity, if you really go back to roots, is supposed to be so much faith oriented that they're like, you know what? Someone smacks you, you turn the other cheek. Somebody makes a false accusation of you, you let it roll. If government powers oppress you, or if you end up in a situation where you're not sure where your next meal's coming from, trust God, right? Don't get violent, don't get political, don't take things into your own hands, don't look for someone to blame. Roll with it because God will probably protect you in this life, and if he doesn't, he'll protect you in the next. Don't worry about it. He's so caught up in fear that he's angry and he's hateful and he's divisive. And how the hell do you get to be patriotic when you got when you're in a religion that's multinational, how is it that you're going to preference your interests, your economic benefits, your peace and security over the benefits and peace and security of Christians in other fucking countries? How the hell do you do that?
Yeah, for sure. He says earlier in the video, he talks about atheists and how they think that they're right. And that's when I first got here. He said that. But now, how many presuppositions has he loaded into his position now? We're up to like 4, I believe, of he's right about all these things. Therefore, this morality that we have is the right one, and you shouldn't be listening to anyone but me and my morality.
I mean, honestly, if people do this to me like in person, I just turn around and start mocking them and doing it right back to them.
Oh, sure.
Because I have no tolerance for people like this.
At this point, he deserves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some of the comments he's getting.
Yeah.
Try to point out, it's like that's some of the comments you're going to get. And all of us get some of those comments where people are just like, your video's dumb or something. It's like, oh, okay. So whatever.
Hey, Dave, thanks for doing these Saturday night things. This has been really great. And you picked a great video for a bunch of us to watch together tonight. I just want to say good job and thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. We're not taking anything too serious here, and we don't mean nothing personal against Mr. Peace here or anything. The idea being that he doesn't have a very big channel. Got more subs than some of us do, but
I went and shared it everywhere just now that we're live. Maybe we can get a few people to join.
And I see people, Vesta joined in, and I don't know if I said hi to Liz or not, but if I didn't, hello, and Jen here. We have a bunch of people coming in and out. And
I think you're doing a really excellent show on
here.
Saturdays. It's been going really good.
We try to having a little fun here. If you're not having a little fun, some of these things are just the same old arguments, right? So, and like Mike said, we're trying to reach out, right? Ultimately, we always, us atheists, are such intellectual smarties, and we shouldn't be sitting in a bubble either. We should be able to have discussions with anybody.
I'm omniscient, so.
That's fair.
And to his credit, like I said, he did engage with Mike's comment and make a video and everything. Mike did reach out to him, so to let him know we were doing this. So maybe we'll get some feedback on it, and we welcome it.
Hatred of evil in God. God is all loving, so there's no room for hate at all. The word hate is not in their vocabulary because they're above that, right? Meanwhile, David said, "Oh God, don't I hate those who hate you? I hate them with a perfect hatred." And Jesus was like, "You brood of vipers, how are you going to escape the sentence of hell? What's the matter with you?" Jesus wasn't all fuzzy, lovey-dovey, but a lot of Christians are adopting this new version of Christianity, which goes very counter to any type of self-directive thinking. They hate that. They want to be obedient to the state at all costs. They elevate the state.
Oh my God.
This is getting a little foil hatty. Yeah.
Tinfoil hatty for sure. And I like the part where God is hate. I like the spin. I like it. It's fun.
I don't buy into the conspiracy things, and I don't buy into the opposite that the government has to control everything or any of that nonsense. I don't want anybody in my business. I don't think anybody does.
It's quite the stereotype in his mind.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. He believes somebody's always watching him. I don't want somebody always watching me. A lot of us don't want, certain times of our lives, somebody watching what we were doing. So.
Yeah, I'm a pretty private person. I like my privacy quite a bit.
Yeah, and some activities, you know, depending on the angle, it's like, oh, I don't need to see that, right? And, well, why is God watching that? So, yeah.
State is the most important thing. They are proud to be communists because the early apostles were communists, right? They put everything in common. They want the exact same thing for the political system around them. They want to return to true communism that they say is going to be filled with love and peace and acceptance and accept everybody, and everything's just going to be wonderful. This is the
That just sounds terrible. I think that to parrot what James said earlier, oh no, that just sounds awful, right? Yeah, everything was just great for everybody, and everybody had food and housing, and you know, there was a way that you know, like the Star Trek world, where you don't really need money, right? That would be ideal, right? You do things, you have careers, and but everything is just taken care of. Sounds pretty great, right?
Star
It
Trek
doesn't
world
take
is a humanist orgasm.
yeah, it doesn't take away, you know, again, yeah, you don't have to go to Starfleet, right? There's still people that were farmers, and right, and so yeah.
In fact, you didn't even have to be plugged into their system if you wanted. You were allowed to go make money. Go make money. We're not telling you you can't.
You could go set up on any planet anywhere you wanted, and they would even provide you with everything you needed. And it was, you know, it's a utopian thing. But
yeah, unless you're a Ferengi in
and dirty Ferengi
in pursuit of the almighty prophet.
Right, rules of acquisition.
Yes.
Rules of acquisition, yeah. Hey, Jester must be on a break. How you doing, Jester?
Sort of.
Okay.
Well, he said it. He summoned me. He said the word fool.
Oh, okay.
And then he pronounced some MAGA crap right alongside of it. So, as the Lord of Fools, I apologize for this guy's existence. This was not what I was going for.
We won't hold you accountable.
Although, but like now I'm sitting here and I'm going, so your argument is that these new Christians with their new kind of Christianity want to follow the apostles of Jesus himself?
Yeah, it sounds pretty horrible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds, dare I say, almost Christian the way he describes it.
Yeah.
And we can point out.
It sounds like a follower of Christ.
Yeah, we can point out the good things as well, the bad things in the Bible. And Jesus clearly said a lot of things like give the man the shirt off your back and ask for nothing in return, right?
Well,
you know,
before I left Christianity, I stopped going to church because I couldn't convince them that Acts should be called the Book of Communists.
Yeah, it sounds an awful lot like providing for everybody in need, right?
It sounds like bringing your poor, you're sick, you're needy. Let the little children come unto me. It's like, I don't know. It sounds like this guy doesn't really like Jesus that much.
Yeah. There is. Yeah, for the, like you said, atheists like to point out bad things in the Bible. We could point out the good things in the Bible that, again, is a hypocrisy. How about the rich man's chances of getting into heaven are like the camel going through the eye of a needle? Look at all these mega pastors that seem to totally have no problem with that verse whatsoever.
These are the things that my opinion is based on the idea you can't reason somebody out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into. I think we should be throwing scripture in their face every turn and just mocking them for not following their own book.
Yeah, I think one thing to remember is all of these fanatical Christians and the fundamentalists and the extremists and all that stuff, like it's all a result of the vagueness and the inadequacy that the Bible provides, because it's their only source. It allows for all of these things by being such a shitty source. Like it is the reason for this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that just before he did this video, he ran into a Christian that was going to vote for Harris.
Must have. Yeah.
And he's going on about, oh, those modern Christians, you know.
Yeah.
Based on what if he saw those ads talking about how you can lie and vote for whoever you want, and now he's worried that his wife and children voted for Harris.
Yep.
Oh, that,
You know.
yeah.
And rather than
they were having a serious issue with those commercials.
I've been loving it.
Rather than point at everybody else and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, he takes no time to actually take a critical look at his own position. And those kind of things should force him into that. But the nature of faith in Christianity, why it's such a dishonest position, is because it doesn't allow you to consider that. He's defined a God into existence. He's designed his own religion the way that he wants to practice it, and picked and chose what parts he's going to take literally and which parts he's not. And it doesn't allow for him to take that critical look at it.
Yep. And I just thought of something. I'd like to draw two parallels here, that because people have been talking about slavery in the Bible, and they keep bringing up how there was a thing about taking in foreign slaves in the Jewish texts, and like, you know, setting them up, letting them be not slaves in your society as a way, and like it's clearly just a way of gaining allies to your side. But I think it's kind of funny that I could read that as, hey, let the immigrants come.
Yeah. I mean, is there any other way to accomplish the same goal? And is there a better way to accomplish the same goal? And I think there's multiple ways. And the fact that there is makes it strange for God in the Bible to then be directing them on how to do slavery, which was the least effective way to accomplish that goal, if it was the goal, you know. But
he talks about. Go ahead, Mike.
They're going to gather up all the immigrants and put them in a camp, and the only place they're going to find that's big enough to store all those immigrants is like the cotton fields down south. And while they're there, they basically give them a couple of sacks.
I know that I've talked an awful lot, and I'm sorry, but I have to say this. For the people that think that it's a good idea to try and deport 20 million people, which there's not that many undocumented citizens, logistically and financially, that kind of thing isn't possible. So what is Trump going to do when he runs into the problem that he can't accomplish the goal the way that he set out? It's going to be a really ugly thing.
And what if he actually tries?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to try. I mean, that's been his whole shtick.
Christ. I mean, like, you know, there's a point where any of us may be stopped on the street and has to produce our papers.
Yeah.
To prove
what we do here will be illegal.
Yeah.
I'm already in a state where that's the law.
Really?
I can be pulled over right now and they can ask me for my ID.
Yep.
Oh, license. Really? And you have to give it. I think you have
Are
to.
you in Arizona?
Yep, in Arizona. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beck, get in here, Beck.
It's a papers, please
The
state.
new mindset of the, for example, the Clergy Coaching Network. In one of my videos, I said they have 30,000 followers. They have 300,000 followers. And this is what they're promoting on a daily basis, over and over again. They keep pounding it into people that follow that Facebook page. You have to empty yourself. You have to lay down your life. If you mention anything to do with nationalism, you're evil. You're on the wrong side. You know, the culture war is they're on the side of the progressives. They're on the side of the queer.
What the hell?
Evil is evil.
Did he just promote nationalism, Christian nationalism?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's throwing
I
all
think-
the little talking points in there, and
He's trying
there's a problem with it. No matter what your beliefs are in this country, again, we have the First Amendment. It guarantees freedom of religion.
He's trying to conflate belief with action. And
Well, this is another sixth thing that Christians do. They twist what patriotism should be into something, morph it into something it should not be.
Yep.
They should be the first ones to be saying, yeah, oh, it's great that the Muslims are here, right? That this is for the same reason we're here. And yeah, we have our thing and they have their thing. Isn't this great? But no, you'll never hear that.
And this is the thing about the queer theory, is that if you paraphrase the teachings of Jesus,
This ought to be interesting.
Oh my,
Queer
queers. All right.
I got
He's
my
probably
careers on.
old enough he used it as a slur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's all get our queer ears on. Are we ready?
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready
when
for
he talked
this.
about eunuchs, you know what eunuchs are, of course. He said some people are
Yeah, it doesn't sound very fun.
Nope.
Especially when it was forced on people. That especially don't sound
He's
very
about to say some terrible shit, just so you know.
born
Well, I
queer.
have
and some people
I
are
I
queer
have 3 cats that are eunuchs.
He's gonna say some people are
Yeah.
gay because they're abused, isn't he?
my dogs are eunuchs.
because of the choice they made, and some other people are queer because of environmental circumstances. That's essentially the paraphrase. And he said it's a difficult saying. He said if you're able to accept it. And a lot of the teachings of Christ, he said, I'm speaking to you right now in dark sayings. He says, there's coming a time when I'm going to be much more clear about how things work in the spirit realm. So,
Well, that would be freaking nice.
Yeah. All for that.
Still waiting on that time.
Promises. Supposedly Jesus came to earth, right? God had to come to earth because the original message on the rocks didn't work. So he's going to come down in the flesh as a person, tell these people and there's still all this confusion because, well, he's going to come back yet and clear it all up. And it's like
The most ineffective messenger ever.
exactly. What a wasted trip, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Hey, I mean, remember not to boil, what is it, a goat in its mother's milk?
Yeah.
Super important stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's not say anything about sexual assaults in the list, right? Because that doesn't matter.
Although I'll admit, having read that, like, scripture, I'm now curious what that does. Like
It's probably a French delicacy or something.
it probably is. I'm curious how that maybe sometime one of the atheist conventions should do that. Figure out some recipes and
There you go, Joe.
An entire book on how to boil baby goats in their mother's milk. I love it.
Exactly.
When they have the ARC protest, I think you should bring potluck of.
I'm going to bring pot something.
boiled in goat's milk or its own milk. Yeah.
That we should have like an exhibit, a big cauldron with some white substance and label it goats being boiled in boiled milk.
Put some of that hot sauce you got on it, and R and Raw will line right up to try it.
Hey, that hot sauce is no joke.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I want my baby back.
Yeah.
I run into a video this morning from Non-Stamp Collector that explains the whole how Christianity got started. It's really funny. It's animated. I just posted a link to it.
A new video?
Well, I think it's, let's see, what the hell is it? Jesus. It's called the Jesus Cover Up. Let me see.
Yes, that's a good one.
Cherry picked.
But they won't admit it. That's the
10
thing.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time, but it's pretty good. Yeah. I just got the link this morning for some reason. 10 years late.
I like it. Go ahead.
No, thank you, YouTube. That's all.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You were at the Rocky Horror Picture Show and you did the time warp. So
yeah.
There's your 10 years.
Let's do the time warp again.
I love that movie. Holy shit, I love that movie.
So there's a lot of things that we don't understand as believers, right? And atheists come along and say, "Oh, you think you have all the answers?" No, we don't have all the answers, right? It's almost a daily decision, right? We're told in Scripture,
Bullshit.
Today is the day of salvation, because when
They have a book that pretends to have all the answers. That's exactly the problem. That's why they're not able to accept science and reason and rationality, because their book says it already has the answers to all those things.
Mhm.
Well, whenever I talk to theists, they expect me to know everything.
Yep, on every subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't believe, then you must know everything. It's exactly setting up that, well, as a believer, we know everything, and you can't know everything if you're not a believer.
It's made me really good at responding to like just their nonsense because I have answers now. You know?
So do I. Bigfoot did it.
If you don't know how the zinc fingers work, how do you know it's not magic?
Well, I think even like
It all depends on the dipping sauce you use for your zinc fingers.
There you go.
if you watch small channels like Dave or mine or Jimmy Tuck's or stuff, I think you see all of us like getting better at addressing these things, and it's something that, because we care about it, we want to give the best message we can to those that come and watch. So we make real attempts to be better at discussing these issues.
Yeah. I'm constantly trying to refine my arguments and the way I phrase things.
Where I was a year ago, whenever I first started streaming, I feel like I knew a lot less than I do now, and I was not as good at communicating it either.
Well, I wonder, like, the problem I think with people like this guy is I doubt it's clear that he hasn't really talked to that many atheists.
Good
Like,
luck
in
with your
person.
atheism, right?
Well, he has an atheist friend.
He has one, yeah,
Yeah.
I bet he does.
Yeah. So
that he met at church.
Well, you know the old joke, right? And anytime somebody says, "Oh no, I'm not like that. I have a friend that's like that," right?
Yeah, I have a black friend. I can't be racist.
Yeah, I have a gay friend.
He does not
He's
have
got-
gay friends.
If- if
He's
the
got an
exact same
atheist
thing.
friend. Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, it's almost a decision on a daily basis to choose to follow God. I remember the great comedian, and I call her a philosopher, Nikki Payne, said, "Sometimes I wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and say, yep, I'm going to try on crazy today and see how it fits. I'm going bonkers." I don't know if you've ever seen that skit, but I just find it so hilarious, because there are some days you wake up and, oh, there's a phone ringing. That's okay. You wake up and you forget to put God first in your mind. As soon as you wake up, the first.
Wait a minute. Like, if I try on crazy in the morning, I might become a Christian. It's like, I'm going to try on crazy. What does he realize this could backfire on?
Well, and I think we all like if not to literally do it, at least think about just having a crazy day, right?
Live a little.
Go to the store in your birthday suit or something, and just
crazy.
just not even care, right? Yeah, well, and do a dance.
Let's go. Sounds
Yell back
great.
at the homeless guy.
Yeah.
I'd love to spend the rest of 5 years of my one life in jail for that. Sounds like a great idea.
Put on some big fuzzy slippers and just go to town, and there's a comedian, I don't remember the name, but there's a bit that goes we're all 3 bad days away from just wandering the streets and babbling to ourselves, right? Everybody has their breaking point, right?
Yeah, I remember when I broke.
Yeah,
I've been through several of them, so yeah.
And you got the movie with where he has the bad day,
Falling Down.
Yeah, Falling Down. Thank you.
I mean, you keep saying it, and I keep thinking of the Joker.
Yeah.
So you can relate. I think everybody can relate that. Sometimes you just, man. I think Bill Burr talks about it, where you're looking at that idiot in traffic, and all it takes is me just jerking the steering wheel, right? That's all it would take, right? Just plow right into you,
It can be tempting when I'm out here delivering pizzas, yeah.
And that's why I think it's a healthy outlet for movies and video games and stuff, because it's the outlet, It's like, I'm going to take it out here because you can't actually do these things, and we're not promoting doing these things in any way, shape, or form.
Right. That's what I love about. Go ahead.
But if you're having a bad day and you can go blast some zombies and get it out of your system, you knock yourself
Video games
out.
are awesome.
Knock yourself.
I think video games are actually pretty healthy for people.
Me too.
I absolutely stay, and I do it. Like, sometimes I get off the road, I go home, and I jump into Grand Theft Auto 5, and I just go do some road rage, because while I'm on the clock, I can't do anything about the road rage. But when I go home, no one can do anything about my road rage in GTA.
You're like, I'm going to simulate road rage. That's fine.
I mean, I encourage all things in moderation, but
yeah.
I mean, playing games and stuff, it helps your hand-eye coordination, critical thinking, reflex thought. It helps your memory, your eyesight, if you don't do it too long. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits you could possibly put. It's
like reading skills for kids and stuff
here, by the way, but video games are great in some ways.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what Bibles were meant for. They're not. They weren't meant to be taken seriously. It was an Iron Age comic book, just a recreative outlet for people to rage. Right?
Well,
Don't try
people
this
were
at
never
home.
meant to have Bibles.
Hey guys, I got to bail.
I mean, I think it was a lot of things.
All right. Have a great night.
Yeah. Have a good night, man.
We'll see you guys later.
I was going to
Have
say
a good night.
we're going to be wrapping it up here because it's getting.
Us
in that
peasants
time,
were never
so.
intended to be the readers of the Bible, were we?
But,
Yeah, that's true. We weren't.
Yeah, we appreciate Mike being here with his honorary mention as the star in one of Mr. Peace's videos there.
Nice.
And we do encourage some back and forth. And as I've said before, if nothing else, as content creators, Mr. Peace wants to make a response video, and we get views, you get views,
Let's go.
Let's play the game. Let's dance.
Trying to look around for these smaller channels, right? And see what they have to say, because the bigger channels often repeat the same exact things word for word. And
Sure.
it's kind of nice to hear somebody, and even when he lets little things slip, like saying queer or something, well, it's things to address and everything. He didn't get vulgar about it or whatever, and
It wasn't a slip.
I want to
No,
sort of
no,
defend
well,
him here a little bit. I know I joked it, but we don't. Queer is not currently a slur. I was just saying he's probably old enough that he remembers it
yeah,
being a
It's
slur.
controversial in some places.
Yes, but
well, we
we stand the use of it as a non-slur, and he didn't necessarily use it there, so as a slur. So I just want to.
I have no issue with his use of the word. It's the things it's the generalization that then he applied to it.
Well, if he's willing to have the discussions about it and stuff, we're going to give him benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
when
I
it
mean,
descends
I'm
into
not saying he's a bigot.
blatant vulgar comments, like Steven Anderson and some of these other ones mentioned. One of the videos I passed on, the guy started saying a few things, and I'm like, this sounds a lot like some of these other guys. And yeah, it was a quick Google search on him, and yeah, here comes, the slur words.
Slur Town, USA.
And it's like, yeah, so I did a pass on that guy. So there is a different level of,
yeah.
And there is a discussion, like I said, Bart Ehrman has a video out where he was talking with one of these linguists or whatever, and then they're saying that actually these Bible verses that are supposedly about LGBTQ folks are actually more about assault on people, not who you're engaging in consensual activities.
Well,
so it's
I
getting
mean,
very,
also,
very, very much of a stretch to be so against these things from the Bible, and it doesn't really seem to be that big of an issue in the Bible at all.
Also, though, these things are kind of baked into modern Christianity. So if you're going to talk or look at actual believers rather than apologists, you're going to come across some of this stuff. And I have to say, in that aspect, he was less offensive than many that I've talked to and seen. So I don't think that he was attempting to be a bigot here. I think that he limited what he said, and it wasn't as horrible as it could be. But you're going to come across these things with believers. It is part of mainstream Christianity that they think this way.
Right. And again, yeah, we can have the discussion, yeah, but when it descends into the obvious vulgar slurs, I mean, we know it's pointless, and
we try not to engage in.
Well, I'm trying not to engage in those kind of things, Mr. Pease doesn't seem like a bad guy. I don't think he seems like a bad guy.
I don't want to be mean, but he just seems like he just needs better friends.
Yeah, and that one atheist friend might not just be your only source for things, because that always sounds fishy. I've got an atheist friend.
Let me point out something, though. His whole purpose in this video was to show that he's unwilling to listen to anything that anyone else says and finds facts and reasons to be his enemy. So I don't know about going as far as to say what kind of guy he is, but he's definitely in an echo chamber and bordering fanatical. So there's that.
Well, he does seem to have made friends with Mike. So
he's Mike does a great job. Mike's a very intelligent man.
But Mike puts a lot of effort into his comments, and it must have struck him the way he worded it. So good for Mike. And Mike and I pointed out that even though we're evil atheists and all that, we welcome people to come on and talk and have a civil discourse. You're always welcome at Answers in Atheism or here at the desk. The invitation's always out there, You have to make the offer, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess he thinks people are weak for being anonymous. Just come talk to us then.
Well, I'm not anonymous. Yeah. I'm not anonymous. First of all, if he clicks on me, I've got my channel, and not to brag or anything, but I'm going to brag a little bit tonight. I've got over 200 videos now on my channel. And I just got my notification from YouTube. I broke 30,000 total views for my channel. So
Wow.
that's pretty cool. I've been picking up subs lately, and I appreciate all the new subscribers and everything. And been busy lately doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to continue being busy. Not only the stream today, but I'm going to be back on with Joe tomorrow. We're going to be streaming on his channel. And on Monday, I'm going to be on with Zach at the Shaken Fist, and that'll be at 4:30 Eastern. And tomorrow, Joe, we're at 2 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow at the Kentucky Atheist. I'll be over there. So
we're now calling that the Grateful to Know God's broadcast.
The Grateful to Know God's broadcast. And yeah, if you haven't gotten enough of me yet, make sure you're there tomorrow and the next day, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun on Joe's channel. Some of the best laughs I've had is over on Joe's channel. It's a great time. Yeah. And of course, Zach, he's full of it, and I mean that in a good way. He's a riot too, so I'm sure we'll have a blast over there too. And if I didn't say hey to Beck, hi Beck, good to see you. And we got Ace here joining in. Hello. Good to see everybody in the chat. Had a lot of folks dropping through, and always appreciate everybody stopping through, like Ape and everything. I saw Ape on earlier, or was it yesterday?
He was on today.
Today? Okay.
On video, you mean?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, yesterday.
Drop in on the Ape when he's on. He has a lot of good commentary going on over there. If you want to know his opinion, he's all too quick to give it over there.
Another smart fella.
Yeah. And I want to thank Mike for being on. Make sure you go over to Answers in Atheism and subscribe. If you aren't already, you should be. Mike has a lot of great content. He's been doing it for a long time. I think he's got like over 800 videos over there or something. You want a lot of content to go through. Mike's channel's got it. And we have James Apperson. James, tell everybody where to find James Apperson.
Yep, or I just dropped a link over there. It's you can look me up by name, or you can look up Appersona non grata. Yeah, to play on words. I'll probably end up changing the name of that soon. It's a little hard to remember, but that's where I'm at.
James always has great content. He's very humble, but he has great content, and it's always well written. His blogs are well written and well thought out. So make sure you go and support James, because it's great stuff.
Appreciate that. B.S. Lewis says that you've got a video for every year Speed is old.
There he is.
There it is.
Good to see you, B.S. Thanks for stopping by. And Joe, the Kentucky Atheist is where you can find Joe, and you already let it slip. I'm going to be there tomorrow. What else you got coming up, Joe?
We'll do I'm going to do a political show Monday to talk about the release of the recordings of Jeffrey Epstein as it relates to Trump, some of the pictures and stuff the feds seem to be in possession of. I think it's something that needs to be talked about to more inform people as we go into this election. But outside of that, let me just give you the pitch. Are you an isolated atheist? Are you a confused theist? Come join us and let's have conversations. I'm not interested in your arguments. I'm looking for honest conversations. I think we're a bit past those things. If you want to hang out with a community and have some fun and some laughs and discuss things at the same time, come visit me on the Kentucky Atheist.
Looking forward to it.
Nice
promo.
I know Blaster is more of a stream joiner.
Yeah,
than a content maker, but there are a few videos over there on the channel if you want to stop by.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood to make content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta be in the right mood.
I feel that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
He
had
was
some
a
great
pretty-
appearances on my channel.
Yeah, he's been on my channel numerous times, and we always have a good
Yeah.
chat. So,
Yeah, I
and
always enjoy it.
Jester always great to have Jester stopping by, and always appreciate the comments. Jester's always full of it too. Appreciate it.
I would like to throw in that it is always great to be a captive of the desk and to let everybody know that Dave uses the finest silk in his shackles.
Yeah, never chafes.
And I appreciate all the panel all being here tonight. Appreciate everybody in the chat. And once again, this photograph that we talked about at the beginning, this sits on the desk here.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my message to the Reaper and again to Mr. Peace. I'm all too well aware of my mortality, and this is what I think of it, that sooner or later, right, what are you going to do about it, okay? But to think that I have never thought about death or anything else, personally, and for your information, Mr. Peace, check out my channel. I did a video on that very subject. I believe it was right after my uncle passed away, which made the branch of my family tree even smaller. And I did a video about mortality and the whole thought of death and everything. So it wasn't a real popular video. I don't think death is a real popular topic. But Mr. Peace, if you watch this, I have a video on death, as a matter of fact, so you can go and watch it, right?
Cool beans, guys.
And I hope you appreciate the artwork. You can see it better here. I added cockroaches to our atheist church background here. I also have cockroaches on my background. I hope you appreciate the humor there with the whole cockroach thing. We don't take no offense. We have a little fun with it here, and I put in a lot of cockroaches everywhere, including on the thumbnail for the video. So lots of cockroaches. I hope you appreciate the humor in that. Yeah, once again, Mr. Peace, you want to get a hold of it, get a hold of us. My email's on my channel. You can get a hold of me. Welcome to be a guest on here to discuss anything that we talked about. And for that, I think we're going to call it a night. And I'm going to play my outro music. And if everybody wants to say goodbye.
Thank you for having us on.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
I love you, Dave.
Love you too, man.
Peace out, guys. Talk to you soon.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
I had to make it weird.
Without a sound, history speaks in tales of lore, knocking at the captive desk's door. Oh, legends live within these walls, silent echoes in the halls, books and stories on the floor, knocking at the captive desk's door. Oh, captive desk, hold our dreams, where reality no myth seems, in conversations quiet flow, the mysteries untold will know. Legends live within these walls, silent echoes in the halls, books and stories on the floor, knocking at the captive text. Nerves are wide, hearts are keen, pages turn to secret scene, ancient maps and